Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the September 23rd Board of Directors meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. National anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so first up, we got the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Deb and seconded by Chuck to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, next up, Deb Krishna Dawson will introduce our two new student school board reps. We do have three, but only two are here at the moment. So Deb, you like to introduce them?
Thank you, David. Yes, I am thrilled and honored to be introducing our student reps. This is the 6th year that we've had students on our board as student reps, and their voice is so important to us, and so thank you for joining us. As I've gotten to know these students, two of them are here tonight, the one thing that I have found to be a commonality is they are the epitome of the varieties of pathways that we need to provide in education in order for kids to get their education. So, and I'll explain that. So Caroline is attending Gig Harbor High School, but she is also a Running Start student over at Pierce College. Cheyenne, who's not here tonight, she's been in our system since the ECAP preschool program over on the KP. She went through our schools. She was in the Peninsula Internet Academy for the last year and a half during the pandemic. And now she is at our academies, our Bay Academies program. And then Annalise, who was homeschooled for the first 5 years of education and then entered into the public education system. So it just shows that it is so important for us to provide different pathways for kids to get their education, and you couldn't show it more. So thank you. Already thanking you guys. So a little more introduction about each one. So Caroline Gregory, no relation to Dan Gregory, but Caroline Gregory, if you want to stand up, she is a senior at Gig Harbor High School, and she has been an active and productive member of leadership during middle school and high school years, serving various roles, including senior class senator. As I mentioned earlier, she is also in Running Start, and so she spends her morning at Gig Harbor High School and then the afternoons at Pierce College. So Caroline, would you like to say a few words?
Hi everyone, it's really nice to see so many people coming out and participating in the school board meeting. I myself personally have never been to a school board meeting, so I do not know what it's going to look like, but I am excited. I wanted to be on the school board because I wanted to represent my school, because there are so many things that I want the school board to be aware of in Gig Harbor High School, so many positive things, and of course with every other school, some more not positive things. But besides that, I wanted to include the school board in our ongoings at Gig Harbor High School, and I wanted to include Gig Harbor High School in the ongoings of the school board.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank
you. Welcome. That's Natalie Wimberly, Dr. Olson, our Superintendent Preston Barr, good to see you, and Chuck West. And Lori Glover is not here tonight with us. And then we have Annalise Parker, if you could stand. She is at Peninsula High School. She is their senior, student body president. She is also involved in sports, choir, musical theater, Key Club, environmental club. She's very excited about bringing the voice of all students from Peninsula to the board. So a few other comments about
Yeah. Well, like she said, I'm Annalise Parker. Just like Caroline, this is my first board meeting ever. And I've always thought that it was super interesting in the inner workings of the school and stuff that's going on. And I've always believed that student voice is very important because these decisions are not only affecting the staff and the adults, it's also affecting the students who are living through these early ages of their life. Transitions, especially during this crazy year. So I just would love to be a voice for Peninsula and what we want and just the overall needs of the students and staff and just any way I can help.
Thank you, Annalise. Welcome. This one. Annalise. And then I will wait until Cheyenne Reed from the Henderson Bay Academies can join us at our next meeting. So I will wait on that introduction. But thank you both for being here, and thank you for being our student representatives. We are so thrilled.
Thank you, Deb. Next up, we have our STEM Rising Star Award. Superintendent Bauer will take care of that.
Yes, good evening. I am so thrilled to introduce that we have Dr. Borders here. Dr. Borders is here from our Washington STEM, our West Sound STEM Network, representing and awarding our Washington STEM Rising Star Awards. And we are so excited to have you. So welcome, Dr. Borders.
Well, good evening. Thank you for having me, and thank you for that lovely introduction. So the Washington STEM Rising Star Awards, presented by Kaiser Permanente, encourage girls to embrace STEM education and to explore the use of STEM in ways that will support their education, career, and personal development, and the development and needs of others. This statewide effort acknowledges one student nominated by a wide array of education, community, and business leaders from each of the 11 Washington STEM network partners and regions. So this is pretty significant in that Mia is one of 11 in the entire state. Every girl should feel empowered to take advantage of the transformational opportunities that STEM has to offer. The Rising Star Awards highlight girls who will become the next generation of STEM leaders. Their accomplishments are inspirational for the people who nominated them, and we hope that they will inspire all girls to reach for the stars and embrace STEM. Mia Stitt is an 11th grader at Peninsula High School. She's joined by her parents, Elizabeth and Dave Stitt, and her sisters and brother, in spirit. Mia joins 10 other rising stars from across the state. And in addition to being selected and honored for her work, Mia will have some incredible opportunities to engage in statewide STEM and leadership opportunities over the next year. And there's a little bit of an honorarium and some swag that goes along with that too that's pretty exciting. Erin O'Neill from Peninsula School District nominated Mia. And this is what Erin had to say. Mia has sought out opportunities to engage with the professional scientific community. She has taken part in science symposiums in which she was able to speak directly to astronauts on the International Space Station and ask questions directly to a NASA black hole astrophysicist. She continually engages with the scientific astronomical community via a network of remote telescopes in different parts of the world. Her commitment to pursuing astronomy is inspiring. She has and continues to serve her community by promoting STEM at both the middle and elementary school level. She is an integral part of Vaughan Elementary's STEM outreach program. She has also served as an ambassador to the CAPE program geared toward increasing interest in STEM for middle school girls. Her enthusiasm for science is infectious, and she's viewed as a natural leader by her peers and the school faculty. So if we could give a rousing round of applause to Mia Stitt. Mia, would you stand? Congratulations, Mia. You are inspirational, you are a leader, and we look forward to seeing the great things that will come from you, and also to enjoy your journey over the next year. I'd also like to thank your parents and the Peninsula School District leadership and school board and all of your teachers and just this wonderful community that surrounds students and inspires them. Congratulations, Mia. And Mia, you may want to just give everybody a quick congratulations. Thank you.
I think we should get a photo.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Get a photo. Yeah. Get a picture of all of you standing. And your parents. Come on. Mom, Dad, come on. This is awesome.
We're gonna go out there and do it.
Yeah, we should go.
Let's go.
Let's go out. All right.
If y'all don't want to stay through the next 4 hours of the board meeting, you're gonna leave.
Here's your chance. Go, go, go. Thank you.
Thank you, Corrine.
Sorry, ladies, you have to stay. Yeah, I know, you did.
Okay, next up, we have the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda before we vote? Seeing none, is there a move?
I just wanted to say one cool thing that I was really thrilled to hear and learn about the U.S. Navy Strategic Weapons Facility. The STEM projects that they're giving out or donated to Evergreen was amazing. So thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the
Thank
consent
you.
agenda.
It's been moved by Natalie. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Been moved by Natalie, seconded by Chuck to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's been moved. Okay, the board recognizes the value of public comment on issues related to district business. In order to permit fair and orderly expression of such comment, the board provides time for public comment during each regular monthly board business meeting. Speakers will be given up to 3 minutes or less, depending on the numbers of registered speakers. As a matter of practice, the board will not respond to comments or engage in dialogue at the meeting. Most issues require that the board review all available information before making a statement. The president may request the superintendent to delegate the response to the appropriate staff member. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation. Board Policy 1430 states in part, the president may exercise discretion to interrupt or terminate an individual statement when it is too lengthy, personally directive, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Speakers, please do not remove your face covering. We can hear you fine with the microphone. We do, and I want to thank everybody for once again being respectful, keeping your distance, and wearing your mask. Okay, first up, we have Laura Unger.
I didn't expect to go first, so I was like, wow, I was in line. Anyway, I was just calling, well, first of all, I'm Lara Unger from Communities and Schools of Peninsula. I'm a site coordinator at Harbor Heights Elementary School. And actually, I was just here to say thank you. I am just really grateful that you guys recognize the positive impact site coordinators are having in our district. I am going on my 8th year at Harbor Heights, and every year I get calls from Goodman Middle School of needs that they have of students, and it has just been really hard through the years to see these kindergartners that I've worked with all these years go to middle school and not having those same supports at Goodman. So I am so grateful that we are able to have a psych coordinator at Goodman Middle School to continue with that and to continue with those relationships that we're building at the elementary level all the way on to the middle school. So anyway, I just want to say I appreciate you guys. We're so grateful to have this partnership with Peninsula School District and with Communities in Schools. So thank you so much. It's going to be just wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sarah Garriott.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Barr. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of my son, who is away tonight playing water polo with Gig Harbor High School and loving it. And he wanted me to let you know that he is so grateful that sports are open again and that he's able to play. And thank you so much for all that has gone into getting that done. But he also asked me to let you know that he does not feel entirely safe because only the unvaccinated are required to do COVID testing 2 times per week. His vaccinated teammates are not required to test at all, and thereby they pose a direct health threat to my son and our community. This misinformation that vaccinated individuals do not contract or spread the virus and that they should have societal privileges over other taxpayers or district athletes is utterly false. Quoting directly from the Pfizer vaccination acknowledgement form, which must be acknowledged and signed by every individual who receives a Pfizer vaccine, it states, quote, "I know that with all vaccines, there is no promise I will become immune or not get the virus, or that I will not get side effects," end quote. Every individual who has received the vaccine has therefore acknowledged with their own signature that they know they can also contract and spread the virus because there is no promise of immunity. My son's aunt and uncle, who are fully vaccinated, later became ill, went in for testing, were proven positive for the COVID virus. According to Public Health England's COVID-19 variant report between February 1st, 2021 and September 12th, 2021, 52% of Delta cases, 47% of emergency care visits, and 71% of Delta deaths had at least 1 dose of the vaccine. In Israel, arguably the most vaccinated country, it has been noted that vaccinated individuals have had 27 times higher the risk of symptomatic COVID infection compared to those with natural immunity from prior COVID disease. Yet no inquiry or accommodation for those who have had natural immunity to COVID has been taken into consideration either by our governor or our school district. Those who have decided that it is not in their best interest to receive a vaccination either because they have natural immunity, having recovered from COVID, or because they have other medical, religious, or philosophical reasons against getting the jab are simply singled out as the sole spreaders of disease contrary to actual science and facts. Spreading the propaganda that this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated is not only untrue, it is dangerous. Our governor has already pushed this diabolical envelope by publicly stating that it is specifically unvaccinated 50-year-old men that voted for Trump that are a danger to children in society. He has now mandated that many of those who have survived on the front lines of the pandemic who refuse the experimental vaccine must lose their jobs. If that kind of political, unethical, unconstitutional, unscientific targeting by arguably the most powerful man in the state, who is not supposed to have legislative power, does not raise the hair on the back of everyone's necks, I am not sure what will. Under FDR Executive Order 9066, imprisoned up to 126 Japanese Americans for their alleged potential to be a possible danger to society, not because they ever were a danger. And this gross injustice and illogical thinking was horribly wrong then, and it is just as wrong and illogical now. Please find your courage and be the ones who stop this political witch hunt of the unvaccinated before it escalates any further. Either test everyone in athletics for the true health and safety, or test no one at all. Thank you.
Should we get her letter? Thank you, Sarah. Next up, we have Heather Hand.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone in the community, for showing up. Everyone here is very courageous. Can I be heard? I'm not sure. Okay, so what I did is I brought with me this wonderful compilation of 50 scientific studies that conclude that masks do nothing to prevent the spread of illness. So why are we claiming they work? Why are we doing this? I'm curious. Really, it's scientifically basis. Requiring blind obedience to scientific mandates is nothing more than tyranny. One of my most favorite studies from November of 2020 is the gold standard. Randomized, oh, we can't hear me? Okay, thanks, that's helpful. Randomized, controlled, peer-reviewed. It's the study recently done from Denmark. Fantastic study if you guys really want to learn about what's happening in terms of science. Also, I know that we like to quote the CDC, but the University of Louisville has used data from the CDC, and they have found also that mask mandates are not associated with lower SARS-CoV-2 spread in the US. I also brought something really interesting. I noticed that a lot of us are wearing this tonight. Everybody knows what this is, right? Yeah, but let me read what it says. Surgical mask, when worn properly, may reduce exposure to the wearers. It's so small, my goodness, of bodily fluids, but it does not eliminate the risk of contracting any disease or infection. It says it on the box. It says it on the box. So I'm asking you guys to just take that into consideration, please. Read the box, read the studies. There's so many. And I thank you for your time. And remember, everybody, freedom isn't free.
Thank you, Heather. Next up, we have Michelle Hambley.
What I'm doing. Okay, hopefully you can hear me because it's like going up my nose. We can hear you. Okay. First, I respect this board, and I believe we're blessed to have this board. I believe most of you want these mandates to stop. Again, I respect you, but my loyalties are with my children, and this mama is done. I'm immunocompromised and I'm on immunosuppressants. I take oral chemo. My health is not your children's or my children's responsibility. If you believe my children will make your aunt, grandma, or mother sick without a mask, even though there are 47 studies to prove otherwise, keep your children home. It is not my kid's duty. I hear, suck it up, you set the tone. As parents, your kid is struggling because of you. On the first day of school last year, we had silly pictures of my kids going to our front door and in our front door because there was no bus. We had pictures of their beautiful desks that they had picked out, decorated, and it had positive affirmations. By the middle of the year, we almost lost my son to suicide. So setting the tone didn't work. My child does not thrive in remote learning. Smile. Smile at those you know and strangers. It could save a life. That smile could give hope to someone with suicidal ideations. There's no smiles. This summer he said to me, Mom, I think I'm going to be okay. I think things are going to go back to normal. I can play football. Well, it wasn't normal. He's isolated in school. No socialization at lunch, no smiles, no teacher smiles. My son now vomits every morning. He's already missed 5 days. But we can't pull him out because he's suicidal in remote learning. As of 9/22/21, 374 children, school age 5 to 18, have died of COVID during the whole pandemic. Many with comorbidities. They matter, but there are 73 million children in the United States. The statistics are not out for suicide in 2020. However, according to NIMH 2019, ages 10 through 14, 534 children died to suicide, 15 to 24, 5,954. It is estimated that number went up 14.5% just in 2020 alone. Currently, other parents and I are being assisted in doing notices of liability that will be given to Superintendent Reichtold, the district, the board, the principals of their schools. They're right here. There's more likely going to be a child of suicide than there will be a child that dies of COVID. Also, the above named individuals and their teachers are just being told what to do. RCW 9A 16.100, use of force on children policy, actions presumed unreasonable. The following, I'm sorry, I'm shaking. The following actions are presumed unreasonable when used to correct or restrain a child. Interfering with a child's breathing. Correcting a child that says they need to take the mask down to breathe. Us parents knew this was child abuse. Now you know it's law. When a young child saying, I can't breathe, I need to take my mask down. When my children has been 4 periods and I just want to breathe for a little while, and they're gonna get disciplined because they can't take their mask off. That is child abuse. It was traumatizing, it needs to stop. We can report it ourselves. Also now, any mandatory reporter that has heard this and that I will tell is mandated to report it. I will have Kayleen continue.
So, Kayleen, hold on. Next up is Kayleen Westford. Go ahead.
So lastly, the mandates are not a law. Your lawyer was mistaken in early August. Police can't stop children from entering school without a mask. It's all about money. The fear the school board has is the loss of funding and the supposed liability. Other districts are starting to band together and call the bluff on OSPI. Peninsula School District needs to get together with a lot of other districts and call the bluff as well. If they pull funding and cancel all public schools, then what is Reichel the superintendent of? One of you asked, when is enough enough? That time is now. So in addition to what all these brave ladies have said before me, I also want to just commend, I want to speak in the name of education because that's why we're all here, and especially you young ladies in high school on your government. And I want to say, we want to focus on students being students and students being amazing. You do what you do because you're students and you're not adults yet, but we're all here to fight. We're all here to get education. We're all here because we're Americans. And so I want to add to Michelle's voice and say that we're here together. But I want to say that we have choices, and as the board, and in opposition to what the lawyer that was here in August said, you are not beholden to the government, and neither are we, and you are not subject to Inslee and the DOH, and neither is our new superintendent Barr. And I want to say that you can fight for us, and that's what I'm asking you to do today. I'm asking you to fight for us, and I want you to show us that you're fighting for our children. Because we are not beholden to what these agencies have to say. I mean, when is enough enough? Because vaccinations are next, we know that. And so I'm here to say, please work with us. Please do your job by working with us and not just hearing us, but showing us in action that we can stand up to the overreach of the government. Thank you.
Next up, we have Michael McCarthy.
Good evening. Just here as an aside, I'm glad I'm not here to opt for mandates. My name is Michael McCarthy. I am the proud grandparent of 2 students at Purdy Elementary. And I'm here because I believe that the district ought to allow HEPA air filtration to be used in the classrooms. I think it's quite important because I don't know that the systems they have in place now, I know they've done very well in the past, but with the Delta variant in place and raging, I don't think it's enough. Just as an aside, the MERV 11 filters that they have installed filter out 65% of the particles that are 1 micron and to 3 microns large. CDC recommends MERV 13s, which filter out 85% of the 1 to 3 micron particles. HEPA filters, which are portable units, And they filter out 99.4% of particles that are 0.02 in size. The virus is 0.125. So the filtration systems that are in the HVAC systems now are inadequate to fully protect the kids against getting the Delta variant. And what I'd like from you all is to put together a policy and direct the district to consider it. I've been to the district already, and I have 2 units that I'd like to put in my grandkids' schools, and they have a number of reasons, but I'd like you to ask them to reconsider why that can't happen. So, thank you very much.
Next up, we have Amy Jansen.
Hello, and good evening. I had a lot of things that I planned to say, and I had a little story to tell based on what happened with my daughter, who's a 9th grader at Peninsula High School, and it happened Monday. I got a call that she was quarantined and she was in an isolation room, and I had to come pick her up, but I was working, so I said I can't pick her up. Had to call my husband on duty. He had to come pick her up. From that point forward, I started asking questions. I said, show me this proof of exposure. Who is she exposed to? Guess what? Nobody can tell me anything. Nobody can tell me how she was exposed because they want to protect the anonymity of the student with COVID, which I get. I don't want to expose her even though I know exactly who it is. But they want to protect her, but yet they out my daughter, pull her out of class, take her in an isolation room. She takes a picture in this room all by herself. It did affect her mentally. She was afraid to go back. She didn't want to go back into the isolation room. And I started asking more questions. So just tell me what time this happened, what class? We can't tell you that. Okay, so was she sitting 3 feet apart, 2 feet apart, 2.7 feet apart? Tell me something. Was she wearing a mask? She was wearing her mask. The other kid was wearing her mask. So why was this an exposure? In your own literature that I received from Sarah Hoover with the Risk Management Department of Peninsula, in your own literature it states that exceptions can be if you're 3 feet apart and you're both wearing masks. So prove to me that my daughter was exposed. I want to know how it happened. If you're providing something in the court of law, tell me how it happened. So I want proof. No one's given me any proof. That's my big problem. I have to say, Dan Gregory, I don't know if he's here. I called him. He's talked to me probably 5 times over the last 4 days. I'm sure he loves when my phone rings, and it's my number. But he's been very, very helpful. He's the only person that knows what's going on. He's answering my questions. He's digging in. He's finding all the answers because everyone has told me something different. The principal told me something different. Then the health department told me something totally different. The athletic director told me something different today. Hallelujah. There's tests at Peninsula High School that athletes can take. So she can take a test tomorrow. I wasn't told that till today. Today is Thursday, people. Thursday. Monday, I would have liked to have known that. I would have got her butt back in school. She doesn't need to miss school. This daughter of mine needs to be in school. And she missed school, but I put my work aside. I had a deal almost fall through, but I have to say that deal, it's on the right track. I was trying to work, but mainly this was my job for the past 4 days, making calls, spending 3 hours at the urgent care yesterday, trying to get a COVID test for my daughter because that's what I thought I had to do. It turns out there's tests at the school she could have taken. Nobody told me that. And it turns out the whole football team got their own test on Monday. Why didn't my daughter get a test? I want to know, why did the football team, hey, you got exposed. Have a test. You guys get a test. My daughter plays volleyball. She's a freshman. She's a girl. This feels like a Title IX discrimination issue to me. You guys better be aware of that. This is Title IX discrimination. She's a female. She wasn't told anything. I wasn't told squat until today. Today. Where was my information Monday? She's back in school. She can't start volleyball till Monday. But I would like more answers. But I want to thank Dan Gregory for researching more because I had a lot more bullet points I was going to talk about, which really chapped my hide. But he answered my questions. God bless him. And I give him a lot of credit for doing digging because these things he didn't even know. He goes, you know, Amy, I have a whole whiteboard in my office with your questions on them, and they're rewriting your literature tomorrow based on my issues and my questions. Just so you know. If you want to talk to me more, I have more. We can talk after this because there's a lot more that I want to present to you. This student with COVID was also at Fishbowl, and you guys didn't do any contact tracing at Fishbowl. 0. She was at Fishbowl. That's where my daughter stood around this girl. So if you guys were at Fishbowl, you better get checked. But if my daughter's contact traced and missing school, all 6,500 of those attendees at that Fishbowl better be checked as well. You guys aren't doing your job. Or you're arbitrarily picking who's going to get exposed. She's a volleyball player. She's in 9th grade. She can go home, call her parents. They're working. Yeah, we're working. We don't have time to go pick up our child because you think she's exposed. Show me the proof of her exposure, and I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Casey Olson.
Good evening, School Board, President of the School Board, Superintendent, members, parents, and citizens. I would like to take this opportunity, I'm following up on the CRT. I would like to take the opportunity for the time you give us to speak openly. I would like to thank you for the resolution that was passed this summer regarding CRT. I'm a parent that was in favor of the resolution, and I believe wholeheartedly in what your resolution said. You, as a board, wrote collectively, all students, teachers, and support staff are equal as individuals, and no one race, gender, ethnicity, or religion is superior or inferior as it relates to another. And no student, teacher, or support staff member should be taught that they are an oppressor or a victim based on their race. You also wrote, pursuant to Board Policy 3210, any form of discrimination with regard to race, religion, creed, color, national origin, age, honorably discharged veteran or military status, sex, sexual orientation, gender, expression, or identity, marital status, the presence of any sensory, mental, or physical disability, or the use of a trained dog guide or service animal by a person with a disability is strictly prohibited. Yay. I agree that we should not teach our children to look at, evaluate, or judge others based on the exterior appearance, color, and/or any of the before-mentioned words. I agree that the district should continue to teach a complete and accurate history that is inclusive and without bias. I believe and agree with the school board that we are to teach history truthfully, fairly, and honorably. I believe in equality, the state of being equal. According to the Washington Policy Center website on the 21st, it states that the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction was expected to announce soon new learning standards in English language arts, history, social studies, math, and science. Disguised by the label ethnic studies, the new standards will replace Washington's academic learning standards with controversial CRT content. The new standards will present academic material according to the 4 CRT domains: identity, power and oppression, history of resistance and liberation, reflection and action. Washington public school officials will lower the academic standards as they implement critical race theory. My question for the school board is, what will you do with the new information published on the 21st of September in the Washington Policy Center website? How will the new standards affect the resolution, and how are you going to protect our children's education from CRT and all aliases? How will you support and uphold the resolution that you passed in July? What steps will you take? Why on earth would we decrease educational standards, possibly get rid of testing for higher education? Why would the board agree to eliminate gifted learning classes and programs? Thank you for your time, your consideration. Thank you for the CRT resolution you passed in July. It's time to continue to stand up to CRT, its aliases that are deeply rooted in socialist and Marxist ideology. So I encourage you, I thank you, but I encourage you to continue to stand firm against this. Thank you. And I have the printout of the whole, I have the printout from the website if you'd like to see it later.
Thank you, Casey. So that was the end of my cards. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? Anyone else like to speak? Sir, please state your name.
My name is Jeff Wyman. Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for putting in serious effort to making sure that our children could be in school in person this year. For many children, this is essential to their mental social well-being, and I want to thank all of you, regardless of your opinion on COVID or anything else, for doing that job. Now, I didn't write anything down, and I know I'm not allowed to ask you questions, but I see a lot of folks here who I could ask. I see a lot of moms. How many of you drive your children to school? 2? What if I told you that you don't care about your kids? More children die every year in car accidents than COVID. How many of your children ride the bus? Okay. Do buses have seatbelts? So, I frankly continue to not understand why we are placing these restrictions on our children who, by all accounts, are not transmission vectors of COVID. They're not dying of it. This thing that I'm wearing right here that I'm not allowed to take off, my kids are 7 and 4. My son has known 1 year of normal environment in school. My daughter, none. She has no awareness of what it's like to mingle with her friends, hug her friends, whisper a secret in a friend's ear, any of those things. She's in preschool right now, and I volunteer in that preschool 3-4 times a month. So, you know what the majority of our time spent is in that preschool? Corralling these kids and making sure that they're 6 feet apart, that they wear their little masks. Are they doing any learning? No. Well, actually, yeah, they are doing a lot of learning. They're learning that they live in a biohazard zone. Now, is that accurate? No. No. I'd like to ask the two of you over there, the high school students.
Rhetorically.
Actually, I'm not going to ask you to comment. I'd just like to ask you to consider that the two of you, up until a year and a half ago, have experienced all these things, lived normal lives. And I'm very sorry that so many things have been placed upon you, and to have, frankly, a bizarre experience your last couple of years in high school. But just consider children that don't know anything else. Will they ever know anything else? Will we be doing this for the foreseeable future? What point does this end? What point do we simply admit that COVID kills people? Yeah, we're not going to argue with that, but are we just going to do this forever? So, anyway, since somebody mentioned CRT, how many of you are familiar with the author Ibram X. Kendi?
Jeff, you're 3 minutes up, son.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else need to speak? Go ahead.
So I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I was encouraged by a lady who I love and a mentor of mine. Just a couple quick stories. Picked up my son yesterday.
I'm sorry.
Your name?
Oh, sorry. Tina Pilcher. Picked up my son from school yesterday. He goes to Lighthouse Christian. They've had really, I think, good protocols with an app that you can answer questions before school. Is there a scratchy throat? Have you checked the fever? So they go through this whole kind of health protocol. They did that all last year. I don't think they're quite doing it this year yet because numbers aren't as such. They are still doing masks. Anyway, I picked him up from school. I think everybody's in the routine of, doing those checks themselves for their children. And he said that a girl passed out in school that day, a classmate of his. He's in 4th grade. And I said, really? What were you doing? It was in choir. And I said, what happened? Was she wearing her mask? And he said, yes. And I said, so you guys have to try to sing in choir with your mask on, and she couldn't breathe enough and passed out. And he said, yes. And I just thought that was really sad for this young lady to have to experience that as a child. But I will tell you something that I do know about the masks. The masks are readily used in mind control. And one of the reasons why is because the depletion of oxygen makes you more submissive and willing to take instruction to get out of that situation. If you're good, you can take off this mask and have some oxygen. The other thing is it's very, very important for young people to be able to see the smile. We notice each other and recognize our humanity and create our empathy towards one another by seeing our face. When we take that away, we take away that personalization and that connection that we have as that human and recognizing them as human, and they become more inhuman to us. And my concern is what happens as these children, who we already know, video games and all that stuff that's going on with the shooting and what have you, right? That can influence a child, but now we're dehumanizing people. What's the long-term effect of that psychologically? And I just think that it's really dangerous, and I think that, evidence has been shown that it really doesn't help that much. Let's give the kids oxygen. Let's give them some brain oxygen. They can breathe, they can learn, and they can thrive. And that's what I'm asking for today anyway.
My name's Eric. My son is at Swiftwater.
What's your name?
My name's Eric. I live in Harbor Crossing. My son is here at Swiftwater. I don't have a lot to say. I just want to say thank you guys for what you've done to keep everybody safe. Masks, vaccines, whatever. I just want my kids to be safe, and I don't want them to get sick, and I don't want them to die like some of my friends at work have. And they've lost their moms, and they've lost their uncles. I lost my grandma. I don't want my kid to get sick. I don't care about nonsense people find on the internet. Look, doctors wear masks. They do that so they don't transmit viruses when they're opening your chest to do surgery. People have been wearing masks as doctors for 100 years because before that, people died in surgery. Go look at the Civil War deaths. You had less chance. Anyway, I don't want to talk a long time. I just want to say thank you. And my son has been wearing a mask all through kindergarten, and he's fine. He doesn't care. Golly. Y'all are a bunch of children over minor inconveniences when more than 500,000 people died. Sorry, I get a little passionate about this, and I have to deal with folks at work all day who are also doing what we can to wear masks all day in close environments. And we do it. They work hard, and they're fine. So I just wanted to say thank you for trying to keep us safe. I know it's hard, and I know everybody has different ideas. I just want my kids to be safe. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Janet Lee, and I wasn't planning to talk, and I'm going to keep it really short and sweet. But I wanted to thank you all I know this is such a highly paid position there, so thanks for all your time. I'm a grandparent. I just had my kids move out of state because of all the craziness here in this state. And I am really sad to see the kids all masked up. We watch videos, we see the Emmys where all the people there, none of them are wearing masks. The only people wearing masks are the servants, the slaves, the people who are attending to them. And I fear that our society is going to become an entitled society. The people who are in the know and the, entitled, they don't wear masks. I've seen videos of the politicians put their masks on as soon as they see the cameras coming. Otherwise, no one's wearing masks. Yet we see our kids in masks, 3 feet apart. I hate masks. It's hard to breathe. It causes lymph nodes to enlarge. There's so many things going on. And as far as deaths, if you believe in science, you wouldn't suppress the things that help COVID. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. Do I sound crazy? I'm not. The El Salvador, their government provides a packet of all these natural supplements to everybody who has COVID, and they recover quickly. we need to get with it. And our politicians are causing all you to do things that you don't really want to do. So I'm asking you really search your hearts out, and we've got to take care of our kids. They're our future. Thank you.
Juliet. You can take the mic down if you need.
Jen, we have her come around so
Hi, Juliet.
Hi.
Speak loud in your.
I go to Swiftwater, the school, and then I love my teacher. I love this school, and also I'm really happy that I get to go to this school. And also, I love this school so much. I'm glad that it got built in this world. Thank you.
Is there anyone, excuse me, anyone else? Okay.
Hi, my name's Tracy Geis, and I can't believe I have to follow that adorable, adorable little thing. Thank you all for being on the board, and I'd also like to thank you for passing the CRT resolution. I have a senior at Peninsula High School, and on the first day of school, I got a picture from my daughter showing me the lunch situation at the high school, which is a gym full of chairs, spaced apart, facing one direction with no tables. So I see in these pictures children, teenagers, sitting their backpacks on the ground where people walk by with God only knows what on their shoes. Our kids don't have tables to put their food on. I called the high school and kind of asked about this, and I was told that there's no money for tables. And I said, well, this is inexcusable. It's unacceptable. Bottom line, our kids are being treated like animals. They're supposed to sit in one little chair and face a wall and eat their lunch and keep their backpacks on the floor, and their masks probably fall on the floor, and then they get done eating and put their mask back on their face. It's disgusting. Prison cafeterias have tables. Our kids are being treated less than prisoners. So I would just like to bring that to the board's attention, that, and I don't know what it's like at Gig Harbor High School, but it's okay. Yeah, it's unacceptable. So let's figure this out, and let's treat our kids like humans. Thank you all.
Is there anybody else?
I think, well, the woman in the red shirt's been waiting for a while.
I'm sorry, what?
The woman in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see her hand. Go ahead. Thank you, Deb.
Hi, I'm Daphne. I was here when the attorney was here, and he was asking questions. Everyone was asking the attorney questions, and people in the audience asked if what would happen if you guys went against the mandate, and could you guys, as a school district, go against the mandate? And the attorney said, well, lots of words, but that basically you guys could possibly lose funding. So that says to me that you could go against the mandate. So why not go against the mandate and make masks optional and take a stand?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Jeanette Roach. I've
had 4 young men come through our school system. And so I have no children at home right now, they're in college. But all these issues that are plaguing us are going to affect what we're all living with in 15 years when these kindergartners are then voters. So this is highly critical, and there's really nothing more important than our children. So my topic today, I didn't plan to speak, but I come all the time anyway, is about the CRT. And I know you guys passed the resolution, and that's super fantastic. Now, the CRT is the problem because all it does is complain and do nothing. It's like, let's spew all this stuff out, pit people against each other, and has no solutions other than basically Robin Hood. So I would like to maybe just make a few facts that I heard today, that there are alternatives out there should apparently current history not be sufficient for our next generation of children. You know, the literacy rate went from 22 to 90% from 1870 to 1910. The bulk of that was basically due to faith, family, that means intact parent homes, and determination, self-determination. And this is the African American literacy rate. This is factual information. Did you know that 70% of the households were married? They had a mother and a father intact living together. All of this went to heck when the government got involved in the 60s. So you can look all this up. It's pretty much everywhere. But all of this to say, there is a curriculum out there called the 1776 Unites. It's an alternative curriculum with this nonpartisan solutions. Different people, different leaders. It's a civil rights leader who is kind of leading the charge on this curriculum. So 1776 Unites. And it's just teaching true factual-based history from all opinions, and it offers solution. It's a solution. It offers solutions. So I guess keep up the force, because I agree with everybody else what they said about CRT. But I just don't want to come up here and say it's terrible, which it is. Of course, it is rooted in Marxism and all of that. It doesn't take much research to figure that out. But there are alternatives, and it is with very highly educated people and people who have studied history for a very long time. And so there's a way we can find a way to make improvements and consider everybody's opinions, but to still do it in an educated, not bringing people down, bringing everybody up together. So that's all I have to say. And thank you for all the people showing up. I think it's super important. And thank you guys for everything you do. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hey everyone, good evening. My name is Dr. Molly Monahan. I have had kids in the district and have done consulting with the district and have loved our time here, and certainly keep coming back to the school board meetings while we have all of this controversy going on. A couple of things that I've been thinking about since last month. One is that there's clearly a lot of misinformation out there about critical race theory. And so I'm wondering if it would be possible for us to, instead of taking this buzzword that has really gotten people very polarized, to really sort of shake out of that and recenter on our values. We care about all kids. We want to teach truthful history. These are things that we want our kids to struggle and learn. These are things that we all agree upon. So I feel like the words critical race theory, they're like just a trigger now. They're just making everybody mad and dividing further. When like there are shared values all across this issue. So that's one piece. The other piece is this idea that like somehow teaching our kids certain things makes them feel bad, and we don't want our kids to feel bad. I don't understand where that is coming from, particularly in a district that like encourages our kids to struggle and learn through struggle, encourages our kids to play sports, take hard classes, fail sometimes and learn from failing, be uncomfortable in topics or ideas that are new and different and not easy to grasp maybe, but are worthwhile. And then through that struggle, through that discomfort, like come out on the other side more fully formed, open-minded, well-developed kids, right? We all want that. The other piece that I wanted to talk about tonight that I've been thinking about since the last board meeting was that the very structure of the board meeting is causing a further divide on this topic. So the fact that like everybody has to come up and give their most impassioned 3-minute speech, it doesn't allow us to like dig into the nuance and look at each other and develop relationships. It just has us all coming up here and saying like, I believe this and everyone else is wrong and you better do what I want you to do, and so on and so on. And I don't think that's where we want to be. This stuff is really complicated. It's really complicated. But I think at the end of the day, like, you're not going to pack a school board meeting at 7 p.m. on a school night if people aren't like deeply, deeply passionate about the well-being of our kids. So like, I would just love to like start there in a forum that's different than this, where we can look at each other and learn each other's names and learn about each other's families and learn about where each other is coming from, learn about like why we're scared, what we're celebrating. Let's go there instead of, this feels like not good. This is, I think, like the 4th month in a row that I've been here speaking about like critical race theory and masking, and this is not productive. This is not helping us. This is driving us further apart. So I offer that maybe through our fabulous leadership, if we could come up with maybe a different way to come together to talk about these things in a way that brings our community together, develops relationships, and helps each other understand each other a little better. Thanks.
Thank you. So that's going to conclude our community comment for the evening. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. We really appreciate the respect that you gave tonight. Okay, next up, we're going to have district reports. 8.1, we have a report from the Department of Learning and Innovation. Melissa Wiesner is here to share her report.
Glasses foggy, get foggy. All right, so probably just turn this way. Good evening,
I just won't be able to hear you.
Can she pull the microphone out and just hold it? There you go. Might do some karaoke while we're here. You all want to leave before that happens. Good evening, members of the school board, Superintendent Barr, and audience. My name is Melissa Wisner, and I am one of the executive directors in the Department of Learning and Innovation. And I'm here to talk to you tonight, give you a report on our summer school that we had this past summer. and I'm just the person representing tonight. There are lots and lots of faces, lots of people who are engaged in this work, and I think you're going to be really pleased with the results that you see from this. Feel free to stop me if you have questions. Whoops. All right, so our summer school team really was a group with students in the middle, with the district departments, and with school staff, providing a really rich, rigorous, innovative look at what could summer school look like in our district. And it really was, in many cases, ground level work done by people like Jenny Buys, who is both at PHS and Gig Harbor. You all know Jenny, working with counselors, with teachers, talking to kids and saying, what is it? And dreaming, what can summer be? And what came out of it was just magical. Same thing, looking at what are the needs at our elementary schools and how can we not just do a Jumpstart Kinder, which we have been doing historically for some years, but what about our first graders? So how can we really reach out and meet the needs of kids and do that within the constraints of any health guidance and also within a budgetary constraint? And we're able to use ESSER funds. So we thank Karen Anderson for helping support us on that. Karen has never ever said no when I've come to her and said, I need this for kids. I say that publicly. She always helps me find a way. And of course, the most important piece of that always is why we're here, and that's it's for kids. What are we doing for kids? So I am excited. 959 students were served this summer. I'd like to be able to tell you how many more than that was than last summer, but I don't have that data. So one of the things that we started this year was selected someone to be kind of the summer school guru. So to help at the district level to do some of the work with transportation and food service and just doing some of the coordinating. In addition to all the work that they were doing in the schools with the teachers and the counselors and the administrators, but how can we smooth the system out so that it's less work at the school level, and how do we support them and how do we remove barriers for them? Transportation being something that we would need to work on. We have more time. I have more time to call transportation department and to work with the director there than a counselor does. And the counselor needs to be with kids, and I need to be doing that support of them. So we had 363 students in person in our elementary programs. We had 380 in person in our secondary, and in secondary remote 216, nearly 1,000 kids. So I'm really, really proud of that. These were the programs, and you might remember James Cantonwine came to you at the end of the last school year, talked to you about this is what it's going to look like. Well, here we are. These are the programs that we had. We had Recovery and Extended School Year. We had Summer SOAR, and Summer SOAR was for grades 3 through 5. We used to do it in grade 3 because we all know the research. It says students who are not reading at grade level proficiently will struggle for the rest of their career unless there's an intervention in place. We really want to intervene, but we want to be more so proactive and make sure that kids aren't struggling when they get to 3rd grade. So we extended it this year from 3rd grade, and we added 4th and 5th grade to pick up students that we knew we wanted to catch before they left elementary school. And we were able to work with some of our fabulous partners, in this case, Communities in Schools and Boys and Girls Club, who provided, after the morning session, had daycare for them and activities. So a chance for kids to get out, do some academics, and also to be with their friends, make new friends, and just to be back out in school. Then you see we have kindergarten and 1st grade Jumpstart. That's when the kinders, and in this case 1st grade, come to school, and they get to practice doing school. They get to, this is how we line up, and this is how we sit on the carpet, and this is how we go here, and this is how we can play. Many kids come with those skills, but not everyone. So, and because of where we were, students not being able to potentially be in daycare or be in a preschool, we really wanted to extend that opportunity to as many kids as possible. And the idea, again, is we're being proactive. We're getting them as they come in the door and they're ready, set to go. And then we also have our credit retrieval and acceleration. And you see all the number of opportunities there for our secondary students. And I'm going to show you some more data on that. So one of the new pieces we added this year was our high school summer learning camp. And I really believe this was the brainchild of Jenny Buys and some other folks. And we know that we want kids to be able to come in and have some work with some of the courses. And you see the courses that we offered: math, science, English, history. And we added 2 courses for rising freshmen, which are Freshmen Seminar, which is kind of like, here's what it looks like to be in high school. This is what note-taking might look like. And for kids who were at Peninsula High School rising freshmen, it was the added benefit because they were actually in the school. And I want to say that the high school summer learning camp was held at Peninsula High School, but it was open to all students from Henderson Bay, from Peninsula High School, and from Gig Harbor. And we did have students from all of those schools attend. And so it's fun. It's great. You can come sit in an algebra class in summer for 4 weeks because that's what most teenagers want to do, having raised 2 of them. So we said, what else could we do with them? We haven't had the kids at school. What can we do? And they came up with this idea of doing a camp or an elective choice activity. So they could do athletics. They could do art. They could do cooking. That's actually 2. Cooking is one. Esports is another. Gardening, graphic design, and music. And I have to tell you that we could have added another 10 sections. I see Dr. Potts is here. At least another 10 sections of both esports and cooking because they were full and kids couldn't get into their first choice. And by the way, we did have some kids who repeated and did both sessions. And did they actually need some of the academics? Well, it didn't hurt them, but you know why they came back? For camp. They wanted to be there with their friends, and they loved it. And I have to tell you, the teachers that we had, because this was a concern that the group had, are teachers going to be too exhausted to teach summer? You know, who's going to be there? Are we going to have teachers? Oh, yes, we did. We have an incredible teaching staff anyway, and the staff that was there truly representative of all the skills and innovation and passion and dedication of our PSD teachers, and they did just a fabulous, fabulous job. So very, very pleased with this program. We're going to continue this next year, Dr. Potts, and in the planning, I remember Jenny kept saying, if we could just get 25 kids, just 25 kids, I'm going to be really happy.
Melissa, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Real curious about the electives. Were those chosen by teacher passion because who we had teaching wanted to share their passions, or were those selected by kids and we found something?
I think there was a combination of both. We knew that kids loved the cooking. We'd been talking about a way to introduce esports. And then teachers, we asked them, what would you like to do? What's your passion? What would be fun to do? So it really was a shared experience for both teachers and kids. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know who had more fun. Was the teachers or the students? So we actually had a couple of some students who were having such a great learning experience in math that they gave up their camp experience to do a double math session. So that speaks volumes. So we had 136 students in session 1. We had 126 in session 2. And you can see there the stats on how many earned electives. But this was an opportunity that over 200 kids would not have had otherwise. So I am so grateful for the work at the schools to make this happen, for the work of our departments. Transportation was there, food service was there. Like I said, Karen Anderson, such a big cheerleader for all of this. And she just said, what does it take to make it work? We had counselors there, really nice wraparound services for our kids this summer. Thank you. I'm just the one delivering the message, but there were so many people that did the work. And then a repeat that we've had before, and Erin is here. She could answer any questions. And if I misspeak, Erin, I know you'll pop in. West Sound Tech Summer Satellite. Again, 2 sessions, 118 kids, which we thought were great. And again, wraparound services, English language and student services support to kids who needed it. Here were the academics that they were able to engage in. And they had some great opportunities to explore our community. So, not such a bad deal. I'm going to go to summer school. I'm going to get to learn about aerospace. I want to know more about aerospace. And I get to go to the Museum of Flight. Erin, anything you want to add to that? Excellent. Thank you, Erin. All right, another one that we've had for several years, Peninsula Internet Academy. 216 students, 272 online classes that they were able to participate in. And you see that we did not only PSD teachers with PSD courses, but also other options online that would be commercially produced. And I think I had, let's see. No. I thought I had in there what the courses were, but there were a number of courses: CCFE, math, ELA, science, PE, everything that you can think of. And some students use this option as a way to clear their schedule for the following years, right? So I can take a PE course, or I can take health, or I can take CCFE, which gives me another option to take maybe some advanced courses, or to continue with band or choir or theater or sports. All right, that was secondary. Any questions about the work we did with our secondary students this summer? Okay. Elementary. We called it Summer SOAR. Lisa Ray was in charge of this program, and we really focused on supporting reading and math skills for our students. We had it at 2 different schools, 75 students, and that's how we had 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, pretty evenly split. And each site had a STEM teacher, and we did some STEM instruction in anticipation of our new STEM Scopes elementary adoption that was approved last year by the board. Thank you very much. And 60% of the participants stayed for the full day. And then Boys and Girls Club was available to them to provide some, again, opportunities for kids to be together, and also to provide some social emotional learning and some mentorship. So a great program. Again, this was a program that was extended from just a single grade. Jumpstart. If you ever need a pickup, go to Jumpstart Kinder and watch 5-year-olds who have never been in a classroom come in. And the first day and the last day, and you know, you can tell as an elementary principal, I knew my kids who had had some kind of summer, either Jumpstart Kinder or something else, because they knew where things were, they know how to walk to the library. It is amazing to have all these lovely role models in the first day of school, and they can help their friends and say, this is how we stand in line, or this is where the library is, or this is where the restroom is. All the important things you want to know. Most important, where do we go eat lunch? And again, just how do we do school? What does that look like? And it helps to ease the fears, and not only for the kids, but for parents. If you're ever, you know, if you've been a first-time parent and that first baby goes off to kindergarten, and it's like, what does that look like, and how scary will that be? So working with the parents, providing them opportunities to see what that looks like as well. And it's a transition for students who are brand new to school. And we know that with the closing of daycares and preschools, that we had a number of students, and that's again why we offered it to kinder and first.
Hey, Melissa.
Yes.
Which elementary school did we not have Jumpstart?
It was Evergreen because it was under construction.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that's what I have prepared for you. Happy to entertain any questions from the board.
I was going to ask you, did you see an uptick in summer school this year compared to previous pre-pandemic years, or is this about average of what you see in these programs?
I'm going to be honest, I don't have records of what we did before, because it was, you know, this group did this and it wasn't coordinated. And that's when we said we have got to have some kind of district coordination around this, because we need to have some equity, we need to provide resources, and we need to be able to remove barriers. So, but I will say, I do believe just by the fact that we have added, like we added more grade levels to Summer SOAR, we added a grade level to Jumpstart Kinder, and the high school program that we had at PHS, the camp, that was all new. So I'm going to say yes, we absolutely did have a lot more students.
Okay, thank you. Chuck, you have any questions? Deb?
I just wanted to say thank you to the teachers, the paras, the counselors. I got to see the list of all the people that were involved over the summer. And one, I was like, oh, how are these people continuing on after the year we just had? I am so thankful to them, because I know these kids needed this extra time. And without them, I mean, these kids would be at a loss. And so I thank them already, but I thank anybody that made it an extra time to help recover these kids and give them this opportunity over the summer. So thank you if you're in the room. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Wherever you are.
Amazing amount of work done by.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we've learned a lot about how we can start earlier and what it can look like. So we've learned a lot, and we'll continue to grow and learn and improve the system as we can.
Okay, so you kind of just answered my question, but you mentioned some of this was paid for through ESSER funds, but once you create something wonderful, it's really difficult to pull it back. So the expectation is that we will continue to build upon this and offer it at least this coming summer and in the future?
That's our plan, right? And so working with Karen to say, you know, here's the budget. It's like at home, right? So if I want to go on vacation, how many times am I not going to eat out? I mean, so we have to decide what's our priorities and what makes sense, and we can seek other funding as well. So, you know, what grants are available? What other options can we have, and how do we seek that money and go after that? So it's I think about the rising freshmen, the 2 courses that they had, that there was a bridge to algebra course. So it was for students who maybe had some weaker skills or felt challenged in Math 8. And so we know, just like 3rd grade is a pivotal point for understanding if students are going to be successful, if they're not proficient in reading by the end of 3rd grade. Well, it's the same thing in 9th grade, and that's with algebra and biology. So here's a way to preemptively support. So kids come to school, they've had some pre-teaching, these freshmen, and they're like, I can do this, you know, so build self-confidence, and they've been through the material. And a lot of times with kids, I'm not saying there aren't other issues, but it's that confidence that I can do this work.
How about questions from our student reps on summer school? Do you have any comments or questions?
I actually have a comment. A few of my friends actually went to the Peninsula summer school, and one of them, he had the most amazing time. He got a whole bunch of credits done, so his senior year was able to be open for electives and other courses that he was interested in for his career. And he was also to make a whole bunch of friends, and I know it was a very valuable time for him. So thank you for providing that for our students.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
And Lisa, anything? Okay. Yep. Good.
So this is a great opportunity for some of those kids to catch up on what's behind.
Chuck, turn your mic on.
Thanks. Do we have any idea how many kids are behind and needing this opportunity to catch up on credits?
At this point?
Yeah.
I'd want to go back and look at talk to the principals and look at that data and say, you know, where are we? I'd also like to find a way to track the students that were there, to say, have they kept up? Where are we at? In some cases, we had students that had multiple deficiencies. So it was like, well, which one do we, you know, do you want to do, you know, ELA, or do you want to do math, or do you want to pick it up? So, but again, it's not only an opportunity in the summer, not for the one at Peninsula, but through PIA to accelerate as well. And like you said, free up time in your schedule.
Yeah, I'm just afraid we're going to get to the end here with some of their kids getting to be seniors that are still lacking credits. And this is a great opportunity, don't get me wrong. Thank you so much, and thank everybody for doing that. But I'm just wondering how many more opportunities we need to provide.
More, because if one more kid needs it, we need to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I know that, oh my gosh, I know that there were hundreds of phone calls made on the part of the 2 high schools, the counseling, the administration. I was down at summer school, and I have to tell you, first of all, the kids were so happy. And they said, why can't real school be like this? Well, we're working on it. Yeah, I like that idea. And just contacting parents and seniors were the priority.
Yeah.
Right, because we have less time with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Did Hugh Maxwell hang in there?
Thank you. It's really not me. There are just so many hands in this, and it takes a village, right? It does. So I'm so appreciative of everybody that was engaged and involved in this work. HR, Sent you a lot of lists.
Thank you. So next up, we're going to have our celebrations of our 3 new elementary schools. I want to thank Stephanie and Hugh and David for hanging in there and for a long evening so far. So John Helwich will be getting us started on that.
Thank you. 3 years ago, in September of 2018, I stood before you and painted a really bleak picture of our elementary schools, about buildings that were bursting at the seams, about schools that were built for 350 kids that had 600 plus in them, repurposing storage closets to run reading groups. 5 months later, we passed the bond, and it's my pleasure to be able to be here today and to be able to kind of help introduce and celebrate the fruits of that bond. So I'm not going to be the one speaking. We have others to speak, but we were able to, just this month, open one of our brand new schools, the one you're sitting in, and another totally remodeled school out in Lake Bay, Evergreen Elementary. So big celebrations there. We also have one coming up, so I don't want to forget about that one. In a couple months, be introducing Principal Jessica Rosendahl to talk about Artendale, where the students will walk across the parking lot into a brand new building. And I'm going to kick off tonight by introducing one of the new buildings that opened last year. We've already done the ribbon cutting. We started it in January, but this was the first fall opening we've had. So I'm going to have Stephanie Strader come up and talk about the first fall opening of Pioneer Elementary.
Thank you, Mr. Hellick. Good evening, board. Thank you for having me. Thank you, community. It's an honor to be here, and I've said that time and time again. I'm extremely humble by this opportunity to leave this incredible school. We've had a unique journey, right? We did technically open last fall at Henderson Bay in a remote learning environment. So it was a little wonky, but we did officially open last year. But this was our kind of our grand opening. And kudos to my team, because they actually did it without me. I was home ill. So the first 2 weeks, the kickoff with professional development and our first week with kiddos, they just rocked it. And what that taught me is our school building is stunning, and it allows the space for students to be there. We have 418 students currently enrolled, kindergarten through 5th grade. But what matters to me the most is the people that are in that building. Our students are remarkable. Our staff are absolutely incredible. When you have kids coming up to you on day 6 of school and saying, Mrs. Strader, today I persevered. I'm like, good for you. Like, tell me more about that, right? That's what we want from our kids. We don't want them, they're not talking about their masks, they're not talking about COVID, they're talking about their learning experiences. And we've been blessed. We've got a couple grants last year, and we're able to make our STEAM dreams come true, thanks to your encouragement, thanks to your support for passing the bond. But really what I want to focus on at Pioneer Elementary is the building. Yes, beautiful, and it's allowing us to do what we want to do, but more than anything, I am beyond grateful for the people who come in that building every single day to do what they need to do for kids. The learning that's taking place is absolutely remarkable. We've got kids, just last week, where our 2nd and 3rd graders are doing a unit on fairy tales. So 2 different STEM projects in the last 2 weeks. One was they had to design a Lego carriage to get Cinderella home from the ball quickest. And so they timed their carriage to see. This past week, they were creating houses that stood up to the big bad wolf. So whose house could stand the longest? So they're finding these incredible ways to integrate these STEAM concepts into their literacy, into their math, into every aspect of social emotional learning, promoting collaboration, promoting communication. We already have our video that was released, so we're not going to be sharing that tonight. But I do, and I feel grateful to be here tonight to just share that message of thank you for our building. Thank you for believing in our students and our community, and it is that I want to focus on and prioritize. So thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Okay, next up we have Principal Hugh Maxwell, who's going to talk to you and show a video about the opening of Evergreen Elementary.
Good evening. I thought we were supposed to keep it short. So I do not have all the eloquent words that Stephanie has, but I can tell you this. It is so exciting. Our staff, our students, our parents, we're waiting, we're waiting, for a time when our patrons and former students and former parents can come in and just see what a beautiful, beautiful facility is. It is, and just the learning that's going to occur there. I mean, the kids, you could just already tell they're so excited about being there. They're still exploring parts of the school that, we haven't even been in. Having the makerspace. Amy Barber is an amazing person, and she is going to maximize that space. She's already been having groups come in. She's already starting to collaborate and do a lot of integration work with some of our different grade levels, and it's just going to be an amazing year. So I'm going to let the video do the talking now.
I'm Hugh Maxwell, Principal.
And I'm Christy Dolby, Dean of Students.
Welcome to Evergreen Elementary. We're going to share the history of our school with you
and take you on a tour.
On February 12, 2019, the Peninsula School District community passed a $198.55 million bond for school construction to address extreme elementary overcrowding and other emergent infrastructure needs. Now, approximately 2.5 years after the bond's passage, Evergreen Elementary is the third school to be completed out of 4 elementary construction projects and 6 projects overall, funded by the 2019 Capital Projects Bond. This project was considered a school replacement project as the new school building was constructed adjacent to the existing school, allowing students to attend on-site while the new school was being built. The new school opened its doors to students the first day of school for the 2021-2022 school year. On Wednesday, June 16, 2021, then Superintendent Art Jarvis and the school board members honored Hugh McMillan, longtime school supporter and tireless advocate of children, at a small ceremony to dedicate Evergreen Elementary School's existing gymnasium as the future home of the Hugh McMillan Community Center. The Evergreen replacement was designed by TCF Architecture and constructed by Absher Construction. The new school is over 50,000 square feet with 20 classrooms. The Evergreen replacement project would not have been possible without the support of our voters and the passing of the 2019 Capital Projects Bond, which provides quality, flexible spaces for learning and future growth in the Peninsula School District. Now let's take a tour.
Come on in.
Welcome to the office at Evergreen.
Welcome to our new commons. In our old building, our commons was much smaller, but it was still bright and a great place for people to meet and converse and just spend time together. And that is our vision for this area. Can't wait until we're able to have parents and patrons coming in and students here working, and it's just going to be an exciting, vibrant place. One of the very unique features of our building is just the amount of exposed wood that just gives this kind of the feel of a lodge, but it's just so warm and inviting, and we are so excited. We've heard such amazing comments from our students and our parents.
Hi, I'm Miss Porter. I teach here at Evergreen School, and I am so excited to be here. This is my 34th year of teaching and my very first year of being in a new building, and I don't think this building could be better. The one thing that I love most about this building is the natural light. I'm so happy to be here.
I am Brooke Chambers, the librarian here at Evergreen. Welcome to the best library in the entire world. I can't wait to have kids come in here and make this a happy place for our whole school.
I'm Evergreen's very own Mr. G, and this year we're very excited. We have a brand new gym that has everything we wanted. And most importantly, though, the kids are so excited to be in a brand new gym, and I'm excited as well for the kids.
Hi, I'm Connor, and I'm in our new gym. This is one of the biggest gyms we've had, and they just made a new school. I like this gym because it's way higher. You can kick balls way higher and not hit the roof.
Hi, my name is Sandra Lehue. I'm brand new here to the ECAP family, but the space that we have is beautiful. It's welcoming and it's fun, especially for our littles who are prepping for kindergarten.
So this is just one of our many flex spaces, and those flex spaces were really designed around student learning. We know that our students, in order to be successful down the road, in major jobs are going to need to be able to collaborate and cooperate with other students. So hopefully these spaces will be where they learn some of those skills, along with certainly making sure they learn the important parts of standards, content, and also strategies for learning and being successful as they grow.
Hi, I'm Amy Barber. This is my 39th year in education, and I am honored to be at Evergreen now, working in the STEAM lab. And I have two jobs. I teach first and second grade STEAM every day, and then I'm trying to do long-term projects with every other grade. This room offers so many opportunities. So thank you, Peninsula, Gig Harbor, for honoring us in this room. Yeah, it's great.
Hi, I'm Evelyn, and at this new school, I really enjoy when we eat lunch and we get to watch Magic School Bus. I like the colors of the building and the windows.
Hi, I'm Carmen Carter.
And I'm Debbie Earhart.
We are the lunch ladies at beautiful Evergreen. We would like to invite you guys to come have free lunch and breakfast. We look forward to seeing your beautiful faces.
Now we're at our fabulous outdoor recess area. You can see behind me we have our covered play structure, which the kids love. It keeps them shaded in the sunshine. It keeps them dry in the rain. Right here we have our great new play system that was designed with the help of our recess supervisors who put in a lot of hard work to make this exactly what we thought that the kids would want and need in a good play structure. And then beyond that, we have the grassy field. Now we have all of this luscious green grass, and the kids are really enjoying being there.
So one really important feature of our building is our community room that's right behind me. This community room is just going to be such a great benefit for our different organizations like PTA and communities and schools and just different community organizations to be able to come in, partner with us, have their meetings, and help us support kids, because we know that's ultimately what it's all about. And passing this bond, patrons, thank you so much. This is going to make a world of difference, and you are impacting students' lives forever. Thank you so much for coming on our tour. We hope you enjoyed your view of Evergreen Elementary.
We can't wait for you all to be able to come and see it in person.
See you soon.
You could get somewhat of a feel from the video, but I know probably in your daily driving around you don't wind up in Lake Bay too often. But I would encourage you to get out there. It's worth the drive. It really didn't do it justice. It pops. It takes your breath away. It's a beautiful building. Next, I'm going to introduce David Brooks, the principal of the building that we're in right now.
Thank you, John. Superintendent Barr, members of the board, Peninsula School District community. All I can say is I'm just grateful. It is so exciting to be in this school with kids in it the last 14 days. And I think really all I can say is just echo exactly what Juliet said here today. It's like, it's amazing, and it's a great facility, but what makes it are the kids and our staff here. And I just have to say thank you to our community for making this bond work for us. We've got 4 great new schools. All of them are amazing. And to think that we're getting a remodel on 2 middle schools is just phenomenal. So I want to take you on a tour, and we'll take you away. Hi, I'm David Brooks, principal at Swiftwater. Welcome to Swiftwater Elementary. Here to tell you a little bit about our history and to take you on a tour. Welcome aboard.
Welcome to Swiftwater!
On February 12th, 2019, the Peninsula School District community passed a $198 million bond for school construction to address extreme elementary overcrowding and other emergent infrastructure needs. Now, approximately 2.5 years after the bond's passage, Swiftwater Elementary is the second school to be completed out of 4 elementary construction projects, and 6 projects overall funded by the 2019 Capital Projects Bond. Swiftwater is a new school located at Harbor Hill Drive in Gig Harbor. The district purchased this parcel of land in 2013 in anticipation of the increased number of students residing in the growing Gig Harbor North area. Swiftwater opened its doors to students September 7th, the first day of school for the 2021-2022 school year. It is the district's first walking school, with the majority of our students living close enough to walk and bike to and from school. The name Swiftwater is taken from the translation of Gig Harbor's original Native American inhabitants and their connection to the swift currents of the Narrows Passage. Long ago, the Swiftwater Band of the Puyallup tribe gifted a native building recognizing the settlers needed one to teach their children. Our school is proud to continue the spirit of kindness and community. Swiftwater was designed by Integris Architecture and constructed by Neely Construction. The school is just under 74,000 square feet with 30 classrooms and connected flex areas in a 2-story setting. Building Swiftwater would not have been possible without the support of our voters and the passing of the 2019 Capital Projects Bond, which provides quality, flexible spaces for learning and future growth in the Peninsula School District. Okay, let's go take a tour. Welcome to our Commons area. It's a great entry point and meeting place for our school. We've got our main entrance that our walk-up families will come in, our parent drop-offs come in. We've got a bus drop-off area, as well as kids that are independent walkers use those doors. We all come into one common area, which is really cool because it connects to our gym behind me, which we have an operable wall, so we can open that up for like a large assembly, which then looks into our music room, which also has an operable wall. That gives us a stage and platform for performances and great assembly opportunities. It's also amazing because it's got great light and it's got an upper floor that the library looks out onto this common space, so it's a really open and welcoming community space.
My name is Kelly Wilson, and I teach kindergarten here at Swiftwater Elementary. This classroom is filled with amazing features. We have these amazing cubbies and cabinetry, which is such a gift to us. We have our Promethean board over here, which allows us to do so many digital activities with the kids, and it's highly interactive. That's exciting for us as well as the students. We have plenty of whiteboard space, which allows us to do other teaching activities from up front. We're able to manipulate the furniture because our bookshelves are actually on wheels, and so I don't have a lot of wall space, but when I'm ready to bring out, say, their book boxes, I just have been wheeling the entire thing out here. They pick their book box. I can manipulate the stand. Anyway, a lot of exciting features. Okay, my friends, what is one of your favorite things about being in the classroom?
Oh, one of my favorite things is painting and reading books and doing choice time.
We love choice time. Cameron, what is one of your favorite things about being in the class?
I like getting snack. I like snack time.
Hi, I'm Becky Wallace. I'm the librarian at Swiftwater Elementary. And what I love about our space is how bright it is. There are so many windows and the kids have a great spot to sit and look outside. We have a lot of books in the building, but we still have more to do, and I'm so excited that the kids get to have a chance to help pick some new ones out.
Hi, I'm Christina Waggy. I'm the PE teacher at Swiftwater, and I am so excited to be in this new building. We have glorious windows which shed some natural light and give good lighting for kids. It's such a clean and inviting and welcoming school and classroom. I just absolutely love being here. It's so positive, and the kids are awesome.
We are so excited to have flex spaces in each grade level pod. It is a place where students from multiple classrooms can come together to work on projects, to use some hands-on materials. There's room to spread out. They can be on the floor. They can sit in small groups. We're so excited to have options to be able to use these in lots of inventive, creative, innovative ways.
Welcome to our Swiftwater Community Room. It's an awesome space for learning for adults. Our board can hold meetings here, as well as communities can use this space for community meetings. We also have used it just in this past month for our Swiftwater team to come together, learn about our vision, mission, and values, It's an amazing learning space, and we're so excited to share it with our community.
When we were planning Swiftwater, Mr. Brooks asked me to come take a look at the office layout, and I said, how are we going to have that connection between kids and the office? We really want to have that connection. And we decided putting a window here. So we could open the window when kids are coming in from the bus. We can always say, hello, how are you? They come down, they can drop off the attendance folder without having to mess with the door, and they could just come in and just say hello. So this is one really cool special thing about Swiftwater, is that we have a connection to our kids all the time.
Swiftwater is a new walking distance school where we have lots of kids riding bikes, walking to school, as well as a lot of families that drop off. As you can see today, it's a little wet out. We probably had about 20 students riding their bikes today. Yesterday was nice and sunny. We had over 40 bikes here, so we have a lot of bicycle riders as well as a lot of walkers. It's a great community feel seeing everyone in the neighborhood walking to school. Also, I just want to point out we have this awesome new play structure. Our kids love it. It has just been so fun to see kids out here playing on it. And just behind that, we've got a covered play structure, which today was awesome because we got to take our classes out in the rain, play underneath that. Kindergarten was just out there and we had lots of fun. And then beyond that, we've got an amazing large play field with a walking path around it, lots of opportunities to have different types of activities for kids to keep them engaged and having fun. So we love our school and our outdoor play area and being part of a community that can walk to school.
The thing that I like about this playground is that it has a spinning thing, and I love getting dizzy.
Thanks for coming on a tour with us. We are so thankful for our community. We're so appreciative of a bond that made this possible for us and the community support we had. We love our families here and Peninsula School District.
Thank you, everyone. Is it okay to take a quick break? Let's take a short 5-minute break.
Looks like you need to expand.
That was civil. I appreciated it. This is a little rain thing. I need to get a gong. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to be taking up old business. 9.1 is the second reading of the board operating protocol. Is there any discussion on item 9.1 prior to the vote?
I just wanted to ask a couple of things on it, and it's not pulling up right now. I'm going to turn my mic on. It's not pulling up. Do you have it up?
No, I can't even get.
Won't pull up. There we go. Creston, is it reasonable, because we put this in there, that in terms of responding, so we'll get emails in, most, if not all of them, would be directed to you to have someone then respond in the district. And we just have in here that it's, I'm on, under community comments. Will be requiring a response will be handled in a reasonable time. We didn't specify a time. I just, for my understanding, like what is a reasonable amount of time? I'm sure it's dependent on the situation, but is that?
You know, that's a good question. A reasonable amount of time would perhaps be dependent upon the issue.
Yeah.
If the issue requires quite a bit of information, and we're working through that right now, like you're sending information to me. Many times I don't get it because there's two emails. One is superintendent, but one actually has my name on it. So we are kind of working through that. But I would say reasonable would be within the week for sure. If it's an emergency. So the protocol typically, just for your information, is it will come to me, and then typically I will CC you with the staff that I have sent it to. So if it's an elementary issue, it will go to the elementary advisor. If it's a special education issue, it will go to the director there. And so that really is how the protocol works. If it's a school-specific issue, I send it to the assistant superintendent, and the assistant superintendent would then send it to the specific principal and or teacher. So it really needs to be as close to the issue as possible, and we really ask that families start at the lowest level. So if it's a classroom issue, please notify the teacher and work together, because they are your partners in education. So thank you.
Thank you.
So maybe just leaving it a reasonable time, and then if this becomes an issue, then you can choose to put a time bound on there, and we can work that way as well.
Okay, thank you. And then second, under media request, we are directing media requests to the board president and the superintendent. I appreciate the end, because serving as board president, I remember information, things change so quickly in this district that I would not want to make a comment on behalf of the board without the superintendent or the district's kind of blessing of that comment, because I would not, David, I'm sure you too, would not want to give out false information, or not false, but stuff that is not quite understood. I think we should have one message from the district, and so I'm glad that is both involving the superintendent and the communications, however you want to do that. So I appreciate that. And I know it's difficult in today's world, but I appreciate the social media protocol as well.
Anyone else? Can I get a motion to approve the operating protocol?
I move to approve the board operating protocols.
Second? I'll second. Been moved by Deb and seconded by Natalie to approve the operating protocol. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Okay, next up we have new business. This will be annual approval of the 6-year capital facilities plan for 21 to 27. All of us have had a chance to review this. Are there any questions on the capital facilities plan? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the 6-year capital facilities plan?
I move to
Okay.
approve the 6-year capital facilities plan 21.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Deb and seconded by Natalie to approve the 6-year capital facilities plan, 2021 to 2027. All those in favor say aye. 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 All opposed? Motion is carried. Item 10.1 has been approved. Okay, next up we have 10.2, School Resource Officer and School Security. The board will be discussing the Resource Officer program as well as our school security. So, question is, are you going to lead this?
Yes, thank you. I have asked for Assistant Superintendent Dan Gregory and my high school staff. And so if you are here, if you would come on forward. Dan, I'm going to have you go ahead and take the mic if you would. This is an opportunity for us to learn a little bit of the history and then for you to ask any questions that you have. This came forward from several staff member or several board directors asking some questions, and I recommended that you have a public conversation about it. So you're all on the same page and you all have the same information. All right, good afternoon, Dan.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Superintendent Barr. Yes, I'm happy to have Dr. Joe Potts and Michelle Suter with me today. As we had discussed this issue a little bit towards the end of the week last week, I got in touch with both of them and just really wanted to pick their brain about what was really going on in their schools during the school day, before school, after school, and at school events, and really what they saw as their challenges, because when you're working with high school students, there are challenges as they grow and find themselves and find who they are socially in various situations. So very happy to have them here with me. If I was to give you a quick review of the School Resource Officer program as I know it, when I first came to the district, we had a School Resource Officer program, a connection with the Pierce County Sheriff's Office. Our Pierce County Sheriff Deputy at that time varied depending upon each week. They came in shifts, so we really didn't have an assigned officer. That went on for a number of years. It was quite effective. It was very helpful. That individual based themselves at Peninsula High School and would be called out to different buildings within the county, within the district as needed. When we got a more formal program in place, we did have a school resource officer assigned to us by the Pierce County Sheriff's Office. That person was there regularly, again, as we go through the progression, again, based at Peninsula High School, but available to all schools. And with some of our previous officers, at one point, I worked directly with them and asked them to be at Peninsula in the morning because you've got high school students driving to school, which is one of the challenges we always have. I then asked them after the morning session to go out and be proactive and stop in on some of our other schools within the county, develop relationships with staff and with students in those other schools, back to Peninsula for lunch, and then perhaps back out to another school and then back to the high school at the end of the day. Again, those are the busy times at our high schools, before school, right as school lets out, and during lunchtime. We've had very effective school resource officers in the time that we had the relationship. We had one of our SROs leave us for a different position, and we had somebody in the year that we had COVID. And we worked through some difficulties that year, and when COVID came, there really, when we didn't have kids in school, the need to have a school resource officer was not there. We know that there are some hiccups within Pierce County right now, is our understanding, with the Sheriff's Office, and the School Resource Officer program county-wide is in a little bit of limbo right now. When we look at what value school resource officers bring, it's not just to be there to put out fires, it's to create relationships with staff and students. And we really had, we've had a couple of really good ones where students, if they weren't comfortable coming to one of the adults or the administrators, they went to the school resource officer, and those SROs worked with our administrative teams as a member of the team. So it has been very effective. But we've got good people in security positions as well. We have our school security officers, one at Gig Harbor, one at Peninsula, and previously one at Henderson Bay. I would let you know, without having the school resource officer at Peninsula High School this year, we worked through the summer, and I've got to compliment Principal Brian Tovey at Henderson Bay. I'm sorry, Director Brian Tovey at the academies at Henderson Bay. I met with he and Aaron O'Neill in mid to late August, and we talked about reassigning their security officer to Peninsula High School, because I'm going to turn it over to our principals now. But I think, as Dr. Potts would tell you, they have a safe campus, and they're always trying to improve on safety. The difficulty at Peninsula High School is having a secure campus, because just the perimeter is so varied and there are so many access points. Gig Harbor High School also has its own challenges. The perimeter is a little different, and our schools in the city get great response from the Gig Harbor Police Department. They are close by. They are normally close by if anything happens, and they are close by and only a phone call away when we need to consult as well. So we have very positive relationships both with the county and in the city with law enforcement. We're very well supported. But I do want to turn it over to Dr. Potts and Ms. Suter and just ask them to talk about what's going well and what they see as their challenges currently. And you've got your own microphone, so I'll just step away. I did. There we go.
Good evening. So, thank you, Mr. Gregory. Appreciate it. This summer, we did have a conversation about securing the campus a little better. The campus, as you well know, has many access points. All the doors are open to the outside, and many blind spots. And so the extra safety officer on a campus has made a substantial difference. I'll give you an example of that. We have 400 students at each lunch, and we had to add a third lunch this year. And you heard a little bit about the seating arrangement in the gymnasium, and that's by design and purposeful. We're not thrilled at the idea of students sitting and eating without a place to put their lunch, but that's what we have to offer at the moment. We also have to place at least 100 students outside in Roy Anderson Field because we don't have enough space for lunches. And so as a result, that means we have to station administrators at 3 different spots, which opens up the campus considerably for lots of things that we don't want to have happen on our campus, people leaving, people coming. And the extra safety officer helps us take care of the north part of the campus during lunches. That's just one example. So that extra person on our campus is making a tremendous difference. And we had a school resource officer on campus my first year as principal, very successful model as well. But the extra safety officer is positioned at our school full time. And also that safety officer goes to Purdy and manages dismissal traffic. And if you've been to Peninsula High School in the morning, the traffic from Purdy wraps all the way down to the Peninsula bus circle to go up the hill for drop-off. The safety officer adds safety and oversight to that process in the morning, and the same thing is replicated in the afternoon. And so that safety officer then transitions up to Purdy to add assistance. And so I'm going to make the case that adding that extra safety officer at our school is making our campus and Purdy's campus safer. And for that, I'm really thankful.
Thank you, Dr. Potts. Let me first just say thank you for asking the question. Because I believe that my number one job as a principal of Gig Harbor High School is the safety and well-being of our students. That's physical, personal, emotional safety. So thank you for asking the question. Our campus isn't quite as exposed, so to speak. We don't have all of our rooms that open to the outside like Peninsula does. But it is a pretty open campus. And I think that there are some things certainly that we can do. I personally don't think an SRO is the answer to our need necessarily. But I always want to ask the question, what's the problem? Is it real or imagined? If it's real, what do we need to do about it? And so that's kind of the way I frame things. And so I appreciate you asking the question. I think there are some things we can do to shore up the campus a bit. We also have a security officer who does a great job guarding the perimeter, outside, all of that, administrators out and around the building. So that's kind of where we are. Questions?
Can you guys clarify? Sorry, I didn't know this. I will turn on my microphone. You guys can so what do you have at Gig Harbor and what do you have at Peninsula? I wasn't aware.
We both have security officers on campus. Peninsula has 2 now, correct? And we have 1.
Security officers?
Yes, full-time.
Okay.
Full-time security
and
officers.
They stay on those campuses aside from the Purdy? Okay.
Yes, they are employees of the district. They're not contracted out through Pierce County Sheriffs. They are, I believe they're all longtime employees of the district and have been doing this kind of work for quite a while for the district. They are classified employees.
And they're full-time?
They are all 3 full-time.
And if they're not coming to school, after school, lunchtime, what else are they doing during the day?
Well, they do events. So they're at all of our football games. They're at our homecoming events, things like that. So they're at all of those things. And then during the day, they police the perimeter for students that maybe go off campus for lunch or come back for lunch, those kinds of things, and are available for whatever we need them for.
So let me just add, if I could, and I would call on my 2 colleagues here. As we talked about some of the concerns, some of them are the perimeter of the campus and just managing the day-to-day campus. Some of those are what goes on campuses, on high school campuses, in many places during the day, and how we intervene on that. And I just want to add 2 things. As Michelle said, administrators are out and about, and that holds true for all 3 of our high school campuses as well as our middle school campuses, and I asked for a little feedback from our middle school principals as well. There was a social media, I don't know what you want to call it, a social media issue on TikTok recently that has caused some issues. And so that is a lot of what's going on in our school bathrooms during the school day. And it really applies beyond the TikTok piece. It's something that we've worked with as secondary administrators for years and years and years, and continually tried to improve student behaviors when they're out of class. And I just want to go back to what Michelle said, and I know I've seen it at Peninsula also. Our administrators aren't sitting in their offices. They're out throughout the campus throughout the day, stopping in on places. When we have issues such as vaping in bathrooms or anything like that, they're trying to stop into the bathrooms just as they walk the campuses, as do our security guards.
One more really quick question, David, sorry. Hopefully, because it's a big campus, both of them are big campuses, hopefully, are they able to help our staff identify issues that may be happening in the school to help them? Because we need lots of eyes to surface issues that may be happening in our schools.
I'm going to turn it over to them because they work regularly with them.
Go ahead and answer that.
The question was, are they available to help us provide?
Just training to help, because hopefully our teachers, our paras, everyone is getting an understanding of what to look for and what to do if we find it.
So there's some of that, but majority of the time they spend out and about in the campus, on the perimeter, and in the hallways. Mm-hmm. So there's some education that's going on in terms of alerting us to things that we need to pay attention to, but it's very much a team effort. I talk with my safety officers 15 to 20 times a day, touch bases with them. And I don't know about the Gig Harbor, but I imagine we walk 10 miles. Because I got a watcher, the guard. So Friday, and I was standing on the track, and I said, Danielle O'Leary, how many miles did you walk today? And she pulled up her watch, and she said 10.2, and I pulled up mine, and it was 10. So we're spending a lot of time, as Mr. Gregory said, we're spending a lot of time out and about, and we are in restrooms and monitoring, our students as they pass and as they go through the restrooms. We've had a number of soap dispensers that have been pulled off the wall Our remedy is to put out small bottles of soap. It's working pretty well. So I think that, together we're working collaboratively, but as far as your question regarding education, I think there's an interest at the district level to improve our communication, our education, so that we're all sort of working and collaborating more extensively.
Yeah, and I would just say too, I think, and I think Caroline could probably attest to this as well. If you really want to know what's going on, you talk to the students.
Yeah.
So yes, it's great to have your teachers know what you're looking out for, but it's building a relationship with your kids where they know it's safe to come and share information about something that's happening and something that's not okay. So I think that's part of that culture building where we really empower them to own their school. And I see a lot of that. I see a lot of our kids that come in and will just say, hey, this is concerning to me. The TikTok, that drove them crazy. It was very upsetting. But hopefully that's dying down.
And I'm just going to jump in. Can both of you share what some of your challenges are? What are some of our challenges and issues that we're running into most recently? Because I want to emphasize there will always be challenges, and we do want to continuously improve.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's a little bit of what we're after is what are those current challenges and how might we get better?
All the challenges are the same challenges that have existed, just in different forms since we were all in school. And so they just look a little different, and so the challenge is always there. Besides the TikTok challenge of removing things and finding a game with that piece, whatever it was. Other challenges would be vaping. Sure, there's instances of that. Students not being in class when they're supposed to be in class. Sometimes having to have words with students around mask wearing and things like that. Those seem to be kind of our current challenges, but there's always a current challenge. But nothing that wouldn't be a typical thing that we would handle as administrators or counselors on our campus.
I would agree with everything Michelle said, but I would also point out this fact that 90% of our students or higher doing exactly what we want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an A in most people's books. So 90% or more, and I ask our students to verify this, most people are doing exactly what we're asking them to do, respectful and kind, focused on academics, staying in class, staying in the building when they need to be. And so the lion's share of our student population is very productive and very considerate, and we're grateful for that. Would you agree?
Very much so.
Okay, well, I found out recently that quite surprisingly, we didn't have any security resource officers anymore. I didn't know that they had gone away, and I was disappointed that they were gone. I do believe they provide a very important security function for our school district, maybe not from internal as much as external. I think the fact that they used to be on campus and they used to periodically go around the Peninsula School District and be at other schools with no schedule. So if there are any kind of nefarious individuals out there, didn't know where they would be. If there was any kind of an emergency, we had a resource officer on campus. I don't want to gloss over the fact that we don't have them and that that 90% of the kids are doing well. But, and I appreciate that, but I think that SROs are very important, in my opinion. I know that over the years, this has been coming up, and I know both of you haven't been here as long, but over the years, the vaping in the bathrooms, female students especially going to the restroom, not being able to go into the restroom, especially during lunch, and I know our student reps weren't around either probably at that time. With vaping going on, the stalls are locked, they're eating their lunch in the stall and vaping. That certainly didn't happen when I was a kid. We had bathroom monitors when I was a kid, so smoking, about the worst thing that happened when I was a kid was smoking. They didn't have vaping. They didn't have a lot of stuff that we have today that when I was a kid, but we had bathroom monitors, teachers or students in the bathroom making sure that they weren't doing anything wrong. We've had recently stories of students walking into the restroom in the high school and students are having sex in the bathroom, yelling at the students. She's nodding her head yes. They're having sex in the bathroom and they're yelling at the student get the F out of here so they can have sex. That's totally inappropriate. Totally inappropriate.
I don't think any of us would argue that at all.
But I mean, I don't want anything to be glossed over here. We do want our kids to be safe, and I applaud the 90% that are doing it. But what about, do they feel safe to go to the bathroom, especially our female students? Do they feel that they can go to the restroom during the day? Or young people going in there and finding other students having sex. It's not about a TikTok challenge for me. That's stupid and that passes. But school security officers are not the SROs, but the security officers. I'm curious if they're paid employees. What authority do they have? If all hell breaks loose, they're not armed. And that's a rhetorical question maybe that I'll ask for you to answer, but what authority do they have? They're not armed if something happened. We don't have enough fencing around the schools. Would the principals appreciate more fencing around the schools, especially if it was 8 feet high, not 6 foot high, because someone like me can scale 6 foot fence pretty easy, but if it's higher. But I'm just saying things that have been percolating under the surface for years, and that's why I'm not blaming you two, because you don't have the tenure that this has been happening. But we did a school survey, I think in 2014, was that right, Dan? Safety and security.
Yes, when we had the gentleman from the Bethel area come out.
14, 15 time frame, long time ago. And they found that the students on campuses, all the campuses, were more likely to die of an earthquake, like by 100 times, than by an active shooter. It's just, it was that time when all the shootings were going on. And so for me, it's not so much from someone outside coming in and attacking the school, although we want to make sure we take that serious. And that's why I asked about the fences. But resource officers are police officers and sheriffs, and they have authority to arrest. I don't think our security campus officers have authority to apprehend. They may be, yell stop, but they can't arrest them. And so I'm gonna let other board members, talk, but I just wanted to say it has been going on a long time, and I just would like to see what can we do to improve the safety of our bathrooms. And I'm sure if we installed monitors, that would probably be something we'd have to, bargain. But sex in the bathrooms, inappropriate. I know we had a recent cleanup at the high school, and I'll let another board member talk about this, but lots of alcoholic cans and things like that. And kids have been smoking on campus for 100 years. So that's what I'm going to stop there and let other board members talk. So, Chuck, thank you.
Are the security officers, safety officers, are they trained at all to be able to engage if there's a fight going on? What's their level of training?
Yeah, they are classified employees. They have the authority of any other employee to direct students.
Do they have training?
They do receive, I was circling back to David's question. They have received more training through Karen and Sarah Hoover, more training over the last 3 or 4 years than we probably have in previous years. I imagine, I don't know for sure the content of that training, but I imagine some of it has been how to, what's the training they do through student services sometimes. I can't remember what it's called. Right response. So right response, how you do respond in a manner if you do have to get physical. But the most important thing is what you do before you get physical, and how you create those relationships and how you disarm that kind of situation more with your voice than you have to get physical. And I worked in high schools for a number of years, and I can't remember how many times that I can count them on one hand or less in districts outside of this district that were more urban where you actually had to use any kind of physical force if you had created that relationship and developed that respect. But no, our security officers are not armed. Kind of the going line when it comes to intervening physically is if the student is a danger to him or herself or to others, at that point we could intervene physically, but up to that point that's not where you go.
Right. No, I'm thinking more of the aggressive, even the active shooter situation, something like that, which I should ask we used to do training together years ago, probably 15 years ago. We did some active shooter training, and even to the extent of, is that kind of training going on today?
We did some active shooter training in our district with our building administrators as one of our administrative retreat days a number of years ago with the Pierce County Emergency Management Department. We've not done that training with our administrators for quite a while. We have opened our buildings periodically to law enforcement groups within our area to do some active shooter training, but we have not participated as administrators in that in quite some time.
Yeah, I understand they used Evergreen Elementary for some of that training just before it was done. Sorry. Yeah. So I understand they used Evergreen Elementary for some of the active shooter training just before it was demolition, the old one. So I have heard also from a student at Gig Harbor High School that she was afraid to go in the bathrooms. And so it does seem like it might be nice to have somebody with another level of training nearby. I think it obviously is going to be a personality, something to select somebody with the right personality. It's not going to be overly aggressive or anything like that. It's in there for the right reasons. But with the situations going on throughout the country, it would be nice to have somebody that's either armed or has something nearby to be able to respond.
I'm trying to think how I want to respond to that, so thank you for bringing that up. I think first of all, I would want to say, yes, we want to make things more safe and more secure. And so I had not heard what you shared earlier about the students walking in on that, had not heard, but it is, again, part of my responsibility to have those conversations with our student body to find out what are the things that are happening, because my students know. And it has to make its way to me. If they're not telling me, they're telling one another. They're not telling our security officer, right? So honestly, it doesn't matter if I had an SRO or not. Yeah. He wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. Yeah. He wouldn't know, right? Because I'm about the building. My security officer, my APs are all over the building. My dean's all over the building. So the reality of it is we have to weed out and get down to what the source of the issue is, what the problem is. Yes, we want more security. Better fencing, great. Key locks so that we can, buy a key card, student ID to come in and out of the building. Yes. Those are the things that would be great. The other piece, the culture piece, the safety piece, absolutely. I need to get down and figure out what's going on there. So I appreciate that. I don't think the SRO would make a difference in those situations.
So to your point about someone standing close by to provide a level of security and well-being. Mm-hmm. So we deploy our resources in the morning and in the afternoon very strategically. Mm-hmm. Nothing is by chance. Mm-hmm. For example, each part of the campus has an administrator stationed very purposefully in one spot, and they walk around in an area, so they're stationed there. The safety officers then are also placed very strategically, and they monitor bathrooms. And we have plans not only for entry in the morning, but also dismissal. But through the lunchtime, we have gotten together to figure out exactly how we're going to monitor bathrooms, how we're going to deploy resources so that people do feel safe. And so we're not just wondering what's happening in our bathrooms. We're very purposefully acting to make sure that students feel that they can walk to the bathroom and feel safe, because it is a really big deal for us. And I think if you could ask Annalise actually what she sees during the day and what she sees in the beginning of the day and what she sees during lunchtime, she probably could verify something like that.
I mean, I believe that there are issues like this that do occur in high schools because, there are just things that happen like that. But from my personal experience, I cannot say I've ever felt unsafe in Peninsula. I've never had thought before I go to the bathroom, oh gosh, something could be happening. And that might just be my mindset, but I've never encountered someone where I have felt emotionally, physically threatened. I think that the community overall in Peninsula has always been kind and accepting, and I believe that, and I can stand for that as the student body president. But just in my opinion, when I'm walking outside on my own or anything, even if there's no one else around, I've never had a feeling anything close to fear. That's just my comment.
Yes, Caroline, your turn. Not related to me, Caroline Gregory, but thank you. Your turn.
No, different dad.
Good sense of humor, though. I like it.
Sorry. Honestly, for me, there have been times when I have felt uneasy going to the bathroom. I try to wait until the end of the day. I stay after usually to help with leadership, making posters. And that's usually when I try to go to the bathroom. I've gone to the bathroom during the school day and seen people hitting dab pens, which is THC, which is marijuana. I've seen people vaping. I have seen a lot of questionable. I have not personally seen two kids having intercourse, but I have heard stories of it happening in a bathroom. I have seen various things in school bathrooms during the school day and when the school day is over, and that has made me a little uneasy about going to bathrooms, but there's a few bathrooms in our school that are in specific spots where those things normally happen, so you just kind of figure to go during class when not a lot of people are in there, and go to the ones that those types of people don't go to.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you for coming here and answering these questions, and also thank you, both of you. It takes a lot of courage to get up and say that, and I know both of you have different perspectives, different schools, and I appreciate that. I also have kids in schools and have heard a lot of the same stories, and so when you talk about is this real or is this imagined, I think this is real. I think you're right. It's something that's inherent to high schools and that kind of behavior, but I think we have a responsibility when we know what's happening to do our best to keep these kids safe, whether it's from somebody else or from themselves. I've also heard of stories of self-harm happening in our bathrooms. So when we talk about security, Ms. Sudar, I think you're right. I think having one extra person there is not going to change all of those. I have come from, I think you all know many different school districts. Our last one had a really fantastic SRO program, similar to what Dan, you mentioned, where this is not someone there policing the kids, it's someone building a relationship with the kids. This is the person who is there to make kids feel safe, not to make them feel afraid that they're going to be in trouble for something. So that's one of the reasons why I've asked about this program. Goodness, I was elected in 2 months before COVID. So, this was right when the Healthy Youth Survey came out, and we were getting some statistics back about what kids are doing in the state, and I was just alarmed to read the statistics when it comes to drugs, binge drinking, just any kind of substance abuse, that students in the Peninsula School District were participating in these activities in a rate that outpaces the state average. So that's something that we haven't seen those statistics in the last couple of years, but it is a concern of mine. So talking about security, it is that those inside the school pieces that I'm concerned with, as well as those outside pieces. We can't be naive to what happens in the world. And I think, David, you mentioned that we have done site surveys before, but I think I don't have, my question is about, can we have SROs? What value would they bring? But I think a good thing to do is maybe visit, Preston, if we could, doing another site survey and having an outside group come in and look at our schools from the perspective, whether we're talking about chemicals in the classroom, earthquake stability, outside forces, the security inside the school, or our door safe, all of that, someone to do an assessment for us. So I don't know how we do that, but.
Well, it sounds like you're directing me to do that, so I appreciate that. I really appreciate student voice in this matter, and I was speaking with the students. I will be having a student superintendent advisory team called SSAT. I'm just making that up right this minute. S²AT. But working with principals around that. And I do recommend that we do have some walkthroughs with some security experts, and then we have a report. But really what I hear, it's about culture. It's about the opportunity to look. I wrote down here when we were talking, I was writing, here we're celebrating these brand new schools, and design of schools matters. So just like we were just looking at Gig Harbor, the design of both of the high schools are old school California model schools that there are a lot of openings, there are a lot of access points. And if you look at modern schools that are built now, it's very much different. You have multiple upstairs, downstairs, you have sight lines. It's very different. Design is very different currently. And we're sitting in this, example of that. So not that it excuses it, but I think now is a great opportunity, 14 days in 21-22, to engage the administrators with kids to make our culture more accepting, more invitational, safer, emotionally and physically. So if what I hear you saying that you are directing us to do that, then I'm looking at Karen and saying, guess what? We're gonna do that too. But I think this is a great opportunity, and these are two amazing leaders and one more that was not here, amazing people that love kids. So we're really, really lucky.
And what I want to be clear on too is that the survey that we did in 2014 and 15 was more about physical security. Do we have fencing? It was almost totally focused on building security from like active shooters and earthquakes. It wasn't about this internal stuff about vaping and sex and smoking and all that. It was physical building security. Would they withstand an earthquake? Correct, that kind of stuff. And I'm looking at Karen because she was here, but it was that kind of and I think our book was like that thick when they were done. But so if we were to do something like that, I'd be fine with doing another facility security review. But I'd also like to see, if we're going to do this, to interview students, maybe have student assemblies or something like that to interview students, let them know. When I was in the military, I mean, students, they don't want to be a snitch. They like the student that found the students having sex in the bathroom. That student didn't go to the principal and say, hey, there's kids in the bathroom having sex. That student went home and told his parent. But nothing stopped them because they don't want to be a snitch, and probably didn't go tell the security officer for the same reason, didn't want to be a snitch. But in the military, we had boxes that you could submit a report anonymously, where you put various boxes throughout the school, and so they don't want to be a snitch, and they just write on there, here's what's going on, here's what's happening. So maybe it's non-attribution, and they can sort of raise awareness a little bit. And if it's shockingly so, then so be it. Let's get this stuff put in check. But I'd like to see if we're going to do it, Preston. And if the board, we as a board have to say, yeah, we want to direct it. But I think it should also be an internal look by that outside force to interview our students and see what they feel. So.
Yeah, can I just add to that as well? Prior to going outside to bring someone to look in, I would really like your student advisories, you sitting down with these folks, you're sitting down with our security officers to do an internal look first, like you just said, David. Let's see what the problem is that we see. And if we feel like we need outside validation or outside assistance, then bring that in. I would like, let's control that cost a little bit right now up front if we can assess the issue first.
So may I make a recommendation?
Yes.
Let's allow our building leaders, who are amazing professionals and great with kids, to move forward with the way that they feel would be best, working with their student body, and come up with some solutions, potential solutions, and working with Dan, and then bring that back. Does that sound good?
If I could chime in, Joe and I had a little sidebar here, and I said, I think we need time to study this and get student voice on it at the building level. And he said,
I think
yes,
the students
Dan,
need
let's
to know
do
they're
that.
in a
So,
safe place.
yeah.
The students need to know that it's safe for them to say what's really going on without being retaliated against fellow students. And I'm sure y'all can figure out with our student bodies how to make that happen. But we need to make sure we're getting, you're going to get some outliers out there. Someone, when there's non-attribution, they're going to just have fun with it and they're not actually going to do anything. But I think you'll get some really good information from it.
So I would just add, I really appreciate the conversation. I know these two principals, as well as Mr. Tovey and the administrators at the academies, they're working hard, and they talked about some of the things they're doing now, but I know they are also wanting to always improve. And I think this is a great next step. And I would just add, Natalie mentioned the Healthy Youth Survey data. We're kind of already on the path there, because we're going to talk about the panorama data that Superintendent Barr talked about earlier. That's on our agenda for our meeting Monday, as a matter of fact. So those things are intertwined, because that panorama data goes to culture, and some of that transfers over to the Healthy Youth Survey data. And this conversation just added another layer to that, because all of those pieces are intertwined. And so we are heading down that pathway, and this is just another component of that again, I really appreciate the students, because as we talked about on our sidebar, getting their voice on this is extremely important.
So before we end, Dr. Potts, you and I have spoken about perimeter and about some opportunities for us to make things safer in your schools. So would you please also include that? And that I'm sure students might have some real ideas, and you as well. And will you list those as well for our consideration? Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
No more comments from either of you as well? You good? What? No, don't do it.
Caroline and I both looked at each other and we were like, wow, that box actually sounds like a really good idea. But then I got to more thinking, and you always have to consider these things and not to be a pessimist, but there could be those students that could take advantage of this and put a false allegation in there and just poke fun and be like, I'm going to say this, and put it in there. You do have to take, I feel like taking that into account could be something that could become a really big problem if someone says something and there's no truth to it. It could be something that's scary, but it's also a very, good idea. I like it, but just taking that into accountability.
Yeah. Good point. Thank you.
Yeah, you have something else?
So along with that, the pros and cons of the anonymous report system, it provides a safe place for people to report things that they do actually see, but it also provides an opportunity for the pranksters and the class clowns to put in a false allegation just to poke around and poke fun, and it could seriously get someone in trouble or set off a big alarm. Someone could say, oh, so-and-so has a gun in their backpack or some other weapon, and then it sets off all of these alarms, and this so-and-so has no idea because someone didn't like them and put in a false allegation. So there's pros and cons to it that you have to look at. And then, but if you do get a strong allegation about something, it would be difficult to determine if it could be true or false, because you never know without investigating. And all my other stuff can wait.
Okay, and that's why I said sometimes you might get outliers. And when we had our box, same thing, we'd have people do that. And it's not something that I'm saying put a box up tomorrow. It'd be something that working with your administrators and your staff could have a student assembly and let everybody know, hey, here's what we're looking at. Here's these boxes. We would like you to take them serious or not. But, I agree with you 100%. You're going to have pranksters, and then it would be with utmost care and thoughtfulness and respect that how they look into those, but it's just something I brought up from when I was in the military, but I mean, it's something y'all can work on as a group. So, thank you. Up next, our superintendent's report.
All right. Well, it's September and we are open. And so I want to change a little bit of the dialogue tonight. As leaders, we recognize that it's our relationships, what we've been talking about tonight, leadership and partnerships that determine our ability to make a positive impact on our communities, family, and staff. The ability for us to see clearly through the rate of change during these times with humility and safety, as we've discussed tonight, in mind will allow our communities to hear how their children are benefiting as being part of the schools. I want to take the time to really thank our incredible Peninsula School District staff in every single department for their support, their ability to be responsive to the needs of students, to turn on a dime, and to create new opportunities in this very complicated, complex setting has been absolutely incredible. And this is my 38th year in education, and I have to say, this is an amazing school district. They have allowed us to grow stronger with our leadership, stronger with our relationships, and our partnerships with the community. And as we continue to lead with conviction and passion and relentless optimism, and I really want to underscore that word, because what I heard, these are the words I heard tonight: creativity, collaboration, imagination, inspire and dream, belief, and building our future. I also heard of that buildings matter. So those are things I was just writing down. Our work this year is daunting for even the most courageous of leaders. This is not a normal year. This is different than even last year. And together, we must keep our eyes on the horizon, using our leadership, using our relationships, and using our partnership for the fixes, as we spoke about just a little bit tonight. Like, we're not going to solve this tonight. And transformative changes to keep our schools whole and thriving. We will leverage our ability to tell the stories of the impacts and outcomes for our children. And I just want to share just a couple things. This is what's happening at Peninsula School District. We opened kindergartens. We had our preschool this week, our developmental preschool, and that is a joy and just what a privilege. I didn't know that 3- and 4-year-olds could paint with rocks that rolled around in a box. That was super cool. Like, as a grandma, I'm like, oh, that's how you have paint not get all over. The teachers and staff are amazing. Of course, you heard about our 4 new schools. We have Artendale coming. You will hear about our 2 middle school remodels, and those are amazing. And we have children in those buildings, which is simply stunning. The academies at Henderson Bay, what a beautiful facility. The Bay, the Bridge, the GVA, remote options for K-12. And I do want to emphasize, not all school districts are providing a remote option. They don't all have virtual academies. We are one of the very few at this point, and that has been from really hard work of the staff. We are a return to learn school, and we are working really hard to implement our test to stay, which means that students would take a test. And I just want to tell you that today we met with Executive Director Bruce Stammeier, with all of the superintendents around Pierce County, and we said, this contact tracing is just unmanageable. We have to do something different. We've got to evolve differently. And so he has promised that he will be working with the governor and a variety of couple other leaders. And I meet next week with Dr. Chen, because we've got to make this work. We want our children in school. We need them in school. They need each other. We've got to figure this out. The adults in the system have to figure this out. So, what else has been happening? I've had an opportunity to meet with many of you, many of the civic organizations. I think I've been to almost all of them, Tanya. Almost. I don't know. There's been a lot of Zooms. And for those of you that I haven't met, I'm sure I'm going to get you on my calendar. My 100-day plan is going, and I am just really excited. This week I got to meet PTA, PTOs, and families, and I cannot wait to be out and actually meeting families and parents. The food backpacks for kids is an amazing program in addition to the CIS. These are just phenomenal. I mean, I just want to go on and highlight them. I've experienced my first fishbowl. Y'all do that really well. That was quite a game and quite an opportunity. And I look forward to the Scarecrow Festival. So I'm just gonna slap it down. Peninsula School District is gonna have a scarecrow and it is going to win. I'm just gonna put that out there in the universe. But we're super excited to look at walking with our families as a walk and talk, but actually dreaming about the possibilities. So thank you for allowing your children to be part of this district. And we look forward to things such as, this is what came out this week. Why aren't we doing, can we do spelling bees? Can we do science fairs? Can we do innovation conventions? Can we do more STEM? All of those things were coming from families and from kids. So thank you for the time and thank you for a good night.
Okay, next up is board discussion comments. If any board members have anything they want to discuss. Chuck, you want to go first? Well, you don't have to go first. You want to go second?
Yeah.
Okay, how about you first?
I will keep it short and just, we've already mentioned fishbowl, so we don't have to talk about that anymore. I feel like that's done. All right. You know what? It was great to see everyone out there. And it just is a reminder of being back and how important that is to our community. I just briefly want to touch on staff tonight. I have been approached by several members of our faith community who have heard from our staff members who also share joy about being back, but just feel exhausted. And I feel grateful that they have a place to go where they can share that. And I feel grateful that that comes back to the board and that we hear that from our staff members. And I feel like for the last 18 months or more, we have been operating at a 10. Every month that we're at this board meeting, it's a 10 with emotion and fear and things that we are bringing. And our kids are just so happy to be here that I hope that we can bring it down. We can't exist in a 10 all the time. So I mentioned earlier in an earlier meeting, if people say you're behaving like children, that's a great thing. So I hope we can all behave like children and just be grateful for what we have here together and for each other. And like our young lady said tonight, I love my school, I love my teacher, I love my friends, and I want to thank our kids for their great example. Whether you're our pre-K students or all the way up to our seniors, we are so proud of you and we're grateful for you, and everything that we do here is for you. So we just need reminders like this and like you to keep us on track.
Thank you. Chuck. I want to say thank you to all the staff and the teachers and just everybody for doing such an awesome job. I know this was difficult, but we're getting it back together, and I'm hearing some great things from students. Even at the old schools, they're still happy to be back. So it's great to hear that, and it's great to, I know we're having some difficulties with the mask wearing and stuff like that, but we're on track. We're open. Kids are in the schools, and that's just a great thing. I don't know where we're going. I do have concerns about the mandates that are coming down, and I don't know at what point. We're 2 years into this thing. I don't like where we're going with the mandates from the state forcing us to require the vaccinations for our staff. It's very worrisome to me. I've been hearing from bus drivers, from teachers, for the people who don't like that pressure being put on. People who have had COVID, who have a natural immunity, who shouldn't be forced to get the vaccine.
And it's worrisome. We're in a tight spot. I know we're doing what we're told we have to do. And I'm on the other side too, I with the firefighters and the law enforcement officers who are also being put in that position. And I just want to say that I support all of our employees and their choice to do either way. That's all I got.
Thank you, Chuck. Deb?
So fair warning, I missed last board meeting, so I've got 2 meetings of comments. Sorry. But I will pare it down some. I was going to talk about the new buildings and how excited I am about those. That was touched on quite a bit tonight. I just want to remind our community and new people to our community, those were the first new elementary schools in our district for 32 years. Let's not forget about that. And while it's really exciting, Chuck, like you said, the new schools, but the older schools as well, I'm equally proud of what's happening in our existing schools. We are not dumping money into old Artendale, old Evergreen, old KPMS, old Peninsula Middle School anymore. And those levy maintenance dollars are going into our older schools. We got new carpet in some of our schools. We got painted walls in some of our schools. We haven't been able to do that because we were bandaging up so many poor facilities that we've now eliminated. So our levy maintenance dollars are really going into some schools. So, like I said, excited for the new schools, but I'm equally excited for the existing schools. In addition, they're less crowded. We would not have been able to open up, well, I shouldn't say that. I think it would have been nearly impossible to open up this fall if we wouldn't have had this additional space with all the protocols to keep our staff and students safe. A lot of thank yous. We talked about the summer school staff. In addition, I won't thank them again. Let me thank them again, but I won't go into what I was going to say because it's been said. But I do want to thank, I like your comment, Preston, the return to learn. Any teacher, any counselor, anyone in our system that is helping our kids come back to help return to learn, thank you. They all need it. There are some emotional, some kids that just need any adult right now to be their champion. So thank you to all of you that are doing that. Thank you to our bus drivers with the impacts to the start of school, the new bus routes, new protocols, throw in a few accidents the first couple days of school. It made for a really challenging start, but our transportation department did a great job. Thank you to all of our bus drivers. You are an important and critical part of our schools, so thank you. Creston, Superintendent Creston, thank you. You visited all of our schools the first day of school?
Except for one.
Oh, and then I'm sure you were there the second day?
I was.
It's noticed. Thank you for being in our classrooms. Oh. It's appreciated, and thank you. It's a vital part of what we're doing here. Commander Hood, kicking off the first year of our Navy Junior ROTC program. I was able to go meet with him and his cadets. They were just new, but boy, let me tell you, they were already so excited about what they were doing. Some of the responses were they were excited to learn about public speaking, how to public speak, being responsible to themselves and to others. They also felt like they belonged to a family. And I just cannot thank Commander Hood enough and for our Navy Junior ROTC program. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Sweet. So thank you to Commander Hood. I can't wait to see some of the things that come out of that program. Harbor Covenant Church and Mark Wilson, about 50 volunteers showed up for 3 hours. That's 150 hours of yard work. Went to Peninsula High School, and boy, they made it look nice. And it freed up our maintenance staff to do other things in our district. So thank you to that group. They are going to do a fall cleanup of raking leaves. If you want to get involved in that, I was there at Peninsula 2 weeks ago. It's fun. And it feels good to make the schools look so pretty. And I can get in touch with Mark Wilson to make that happen. Another thank you to Superintendent Barr. I was able to connect her to emergency department medical directors, both at St. Anthony's and at St. Joe's Medical Center. I appreciate you partnering with these people so that the experts on medical issues, so that that issues that may impact our schools, so that we're more prepared and ready for changes, for testing in our schools, for masking, for vaccine clinics, or whatever else may help us keep our schools open. I think that's an important relationship, so thank you for taking the time to make that. In terms of some of the other activities I've been working on, our board is a part of the Washington State Schools Directors Association, WASDA, for information out there, we know that. But once a year, we get to vote on proposals that guide the WASDA's work, decisions, and our school directors' collective advocacy to our state. David and I will be attending the WASDA General Assembly on October 29th and 30th, and we will be voting on behalf of our board. So to the board members, you should get your General Assembly handbook. I'm going to send out a tool to you next week to help you go through that handbook and to help you articulate any positions on how you'd like to vote on some of these so that David and I can go represent us. So look for that and respond. It's really fun working. Another thing that I do on a regular basis, WASDA has weekly networking calls, and I won't go into too much on that, except that 2 weeks ago, Peninsula School District got accolades for our COVID dashboard. So thank you to our communications department, medical people. I don't know who all puts that together, but that dashboard was highlighted across in our state, and other districts were encouraged to create something like that. So thank you for that. I think it's a great way to put information out to our community on what's going on in our schools in terms of COVID. For the past year and a half, I've been working with Peninsula staff on an inclusionary practice program through WASA, the Washington Association of School Administrators. This work has been really focused on bringing inclusion into our classrooms. And I've really appreciated the work, and I look forward to that, seeing more inclusion in our classrooms. Two quotes that I've heard lately that really articulate the work that this team is doing. One was at a WASDA meeting. It was all students, our general education students first. Our job is to bring support to each and every student in a least restrictive environment. That says a lot, and I think we need to embrace that. The second quote is actually from the president of the University of San Diego in his address to incoming students. Belonging happens when you build an empathetic community together. And I guess I just want to touch on that comment. While it doesn't talk about the inclusion, it's more of equity and empathy. And I just really encourage our community to start working together more versus having the conversations that are not focused on student belonging and learning. Let's all talk about student belonging and learning. That's what we need to be focused on right now. That's going to be the best benefit to our children. Lastly, I learned from the WASDA meetings as well, masks are playing an important role of keeping our schools open. Example, Kittitas School District. They opened with mask optional, the only district in the state. Experienced many COVID cases in the first week. The health department came in, warned the entire district that it would be shut down. OSPI responded to Kittitas School District that funding would be cut if they did not comply with mask mandates. So bottom line, masks are mandatory. And more importantly, they are helping to minimize the spread of COVID in our classrooms, period. Speaking as a wife of a thoracic surgeon at St. Joe's Medical Center right across the water, and while I feel I can share this is because I think as a board member, one of my major jobs is to keep our schools open and keeping our kids in school. And I think the comment that my husband made to me will help us do that. His words, "The recent spike in COVID-19 cases have largely been due to the Delta variant of the virus. The Delta strain appears to be more easily transmitted than the original COVID variant. Hospitals all along the I-5 corridor have been overwhelmed by an influx of critically ill COVID patients. This has led to serious limitations in delivery of health care, including canceling elective surgeries and triaging patients facing end-of-life care. A critical shortage in nursing has exacerbated an already difficult situation for our state and health professionals. Unfortunately, the majority of the critically ill COVID patients are unvaccinated, and as such, this crisis could have been largely averted if more people were to get vaccinated. As healthcare professionals, we strongly recommend routine masking per the CDC guidelines and vaccination. And again, I bring that to you as a board member because I think it's going to be important to keep our schools open.
Thank you. For me, I regret turning the fishbowl game off. I turned the fish game bowl off with a minute left in the fourth quarter, and I missed the most exciting part of the game. So I watched on the TV network, and so allowed me to go to the bathroom if I wanted to. But I definitely missed the most important part of the game, was the last part. I also went to, with Natalie, and to a Race for a Soldier prayer breakfast last week at Chapel Hill, and I want to thank John Helwich and John Yellowese and Aaron O'Neill. Kayleen. Thank They put their mask on, they left. They left, thank you. So, thank you, John and Aaron, for attending that event with us. And lastly, I met with Creston earlier this week, and we are really excited that, looking forward to having our school district be a nationally recognized innovative school district, and there'll be more to come on that, but look forward to working with Creston on that. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
It's not important.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes, it's very important.
Yes.
I have some.
All right. So the first thing, going back in order from the most recent things that were mentioned in the board discussion. As a school that's received new carpets, I'm very excited about that. Yay! They smell really bad, but they look really good. So that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Another thing is I was really excited that Fishbowl was able to happen this year, and I was very, very pleased with the turnout, although I was a little disappointed with the behavior from some of our students on both teams, and some behavior of non-students. But I was very excited that it was able to happen, and very pleased that it was not raining that bad for all of it. And then, so with the TikTok trend of stealing school property, the name of it is called Devious Licks. And I don't know why it's named that. It just is. And it is a trend on social media where students try and steal school property, and they try to one-up each other. And I've seen videos of people stealing staplers, hand sanitizer machines. A soap dispenser got stolen from my school. A projector remote, batteries from mouses and remotes, and so on and so forth. And I don't know why it's a thing, but it is a thing, and it's really dumb. And then this is directed at Mr. Olson and Mr. West. Kevin Enses, our security officer on the Gig Harbor High School campus. He has been, before working at Gig Harbor High School, he was a police officer for, I think he said 30 years. So he does have training in security enforcement. I talked with him a little bit. And then to Superintendent Barr, the security walkthroughs you mentioned, I do think it's a good idea, but unfortunately, kids are kids. We will find a way. No matter what you do, we are little weasels, and we will we will weasel our way into what we want. And it is frustrating, and I do encourage that we do more to provide safety and security in our schools, even though the likelihood of cutting it down to 0% is very unlikely, because we will find a new way. Kids will find a new way. But I do support it, and I do encourage it, and I do think that it is a good idea. And that is all.
To go along with what she said with the new carpets, we're all so excited about them. Yeah, I know you wouldn't believe that students would be so excited about new carpets, but I'm in choir and leadership, obviously, I mean, with ASB, but, and you never realized how gross they were until they're gone. It was crazy. The choir room was, it was known for kind of gross carpets, and we're just so excited about it. Like, we're so happy. So yes, thank you for that. What Miss Kristen Barr said, Christian Dawson, oh my goodness, said about the belonging and focusing on that is something is weird that I just talked to my leadership advisor, Miss D. I call her Miss D. Dominu. We were talking about the main theme of Peninsula overall this year is finding a sense of belonging in a community when there's no new normal and such weird things going on. And I talked to you a little bit about this when we met, and I just really love that you highlighted that, because a sense of belonging is very hard right now in these times with just everything that's going on and how we haven't been back in school for so long. And just events that we've done like Fishbowl, where we can all come together over one thing. Even if we're on opposing teams, we're still coming together for the same thing. And me personally, I even felt that connection with my fellow students. And even though there could have been some activity, there was activity that went on, I think overall, just the energy was so positive and so happy. So I'm really happy that Fishbowl could happen. And things like Food Bowl, where I don't know if it's a record of 35, is it a record of 35,000 items? Yeah, that's what Mr. Bill said. I'm gonna go off of what Mr. Bill said, but just, yeah, a lot of food, just that we can come together after a year and a half of nothing, and to bring in that much food for a good cause, I think is amazing. Like you said with the walkthrough, students will find a way, but I do agree with going through and experiencing and looking at it and trying to figure out ways that we can stop mainly the bathroom things. We've talked about this with our choir teacher, where he has to lock his room because students are going in, and there's a lot of technology in the choir room. There's mics, there's sound systems, there's speakers, there's so much stuff. And we have to knock on the door and wait for him to come to us to unlock the door so we can get in, because of this devious licks thing going on. And I hadn't heard of it until about Monday, but there has been soap dispensers also stolen from Peninsula. So just bathroom stuff. I think that's the main problem. But yeah, yeah, no more bathrooms. Yeah, just that also goes in with student voice and asking students what they've seen, their perspective on it, what's happening, what they feel, and if they feel safe, which is something that I also appreciate that we can be here to give a little bit of a voice. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you both. And I will remember we have student reps in the future. Okay, so with that, I'll adjourn the meeting at 9:16.
Okay, they were awesome.